What is up? How is everybody doing? It is Saturday, and I'm live with the last interview show for the year, as it is the end of 2023, and I have a very special guest.
2024, John.
Oh, 2024. I'm sorry, the year has just gone away from me.
I'll fact check you.
Well,
I'll
actually,
fact check. I'm pretty sure I can back up that.
I needed to 2024. I needed to get my caffeine fixed. So
Get it.
with that, I have a very special guest, and it seems I need to go and change my. I don't think I have to because StreamYard is actually. I don't know. It says I have the interview from the last person. I forgot to put your name, but anyway, I can go back and do that in post.
Okay.
In post production, in post edit.
No problem.
But I am here with Hank Thompson. Why don't you just you know what? I'm gonna break my format and actually let the guest introduce himself, because you are again a very, very special guest, and you got a project out that everyone's been talking, and you've been making some good waves the last couple months. So I'm just gonna let you introduce yourself.
Okay, thanks, man. First, so yeah, I've got a project that's called "Earn Enough Money to Replace the Microphones That I Have," because I'm probably going to be banging. It will hold for a while, but these are the microphones I bought to start my podcast in 2010 in Chicago when I started doing comedy. After I'd been doing stand-up comedy for like a year, and so these mics have lived there. I think they're all at their expiration, past their expiration date. So thanks for having me on. My name's Hank Thompson, longtime TYT red shirt. I kind of like that's sort of this. That gets a good summary. I originally, so I'm the guy making the movie film. Tell the Truth Cenk, about the union situation at the Young Turks. I was very closely involved with the union starting and the conditions that drove us to unionize. Although there's a lot more detail to that entire thing, some of which will probably never see the light of day, all of which Cenk does not want anybody to know about, which is sort of the subject of the film, which is like that they put out a completely untrue version of how and why and when the union started. They didn't go into a lot of detail because they didn't have to. But it was something that just lit a fire under my butt, because I had to go through some pretty intense employment conditions, and we secretly organized a union over several months. In fact, the true origins were 18 months before Cenk became a politician, is when the Young Turks workers first reached out to IATSE to try to address a situation that was going on. And but the story that they put out was that the union was a reaction to Cenk running for Congress, and that we were manipulated or even in on it, perhaps, into unionizing in order to, as a ploy, which is their word, a ploy to intimidate their. That's also their phrase from one of their tweets. The whole company, or to intimidate them or something, but a ploy to harm Cenk's campaign. So it's just kind of a really weird story. I haven't really given you much biographical stuff. If you want to go back, just let me know, John. I can definitely do that. But yeah, it's this intense, strange project that I had. I had a long history with the company that goes way back to starting to listen in 2008, maybe even earlier. I was on my journey from kind of like ambiently conservative child who's trusted his dad's conservatism. Didn't have any idea what it meant. Just all I knew as a child about politics was that I hated Democrats. That was all it really ever was. And it seems like that's kind of the core. It's very much an oppositional sort of foundation for lots of it. It doesn't really get much simpler than that in a lot of ways, because that's a shortcut to not having to deal with facts or nuance. Nevertheless, though, as a fairly independently brained kind of guy, reasoned myself into atheism at age 11, and then just sort of not super dialed in, but kind of interested in politics. I always had a pretty good ability to talk to people and to string sentences together, and then decorate them with words. And I over time, went to college for business. I studied management. I studied industrial distribution management. After college, I started. I got into an aquarium business, and I ran an aquarium service for 9 years. The sole proprietorship. It was a really good job for someone like myself who hates taking orders and likes to make his own schedule and can kind of use my sort of. I'm pretty good with mechanical, like fixing things and building stuff and design. I have a pretty strong ability at that. And during that time, I was listening to podcasts and like being a mildly progressive guy. I had sniffed out the conservatives and the Republicans as being a bunch of bullshitters, and I saw the Democrats as their oppositional, kind of push, but not very impressed by any of those politics either. And there wasn't much for people with progressive leanings, but I also didn't have like a foundation in labor or leftyism or anything like that. That sort of comes not much later, but that doesn't really. It's kind of interesting to see people in this world where you intersect with that stream of thinking and ideology and knowledge. And my I wouldn't say first so much, but definitely the most important part of my journey, just to advance a little, is that Michael Brooks kind of helped me pull myself out. And I'm sure we'll end up talking about TYT stuff and where people are in this whole conversation. But Air America was kind of the only thing that came out, It was
yeah.
Go ahead. I've been.
I was gonna say, Air America, like that was the kind of the pinnacle of what was supposed to be left-wing independent media, or not even independent media, like left-wing media in general, for kind of I guess you could say competition with like conservative like AM radio. Obviously it failed by a large margin because conservatives dominate if like majority of the media space at this point. That's how I found TYT, just kind of my own backstory. I found TYT at about the same time. 2008, I was a sophomore in high school and got way into learning about like just like left wing, and like basically got really political and got way into like probably the Obama years. It was for me, it's like I was this young kid in high school and was like entranced by, that's probably a big word, but by the Obama 2008 campaign. And I guess long story short, I just kind of moved along into being more, I guess you would say, farther left, and found Left of the Box, who's also you mentioned Michael Brooks, found him through TYT, and like found a lot of these people through TYT, and and now here we are to becoming a mod, which we'll get into much later. The TYT mods quit that happened a year and a half ago, and then us resigning over the controversial takes of Anna Kasparian and the enabling of Cenk Uygur. So
you guys inspired me. Let me tell you, like I was doing this thing in secret, just following my nose. I'm kind of a bulldog. Like I have a really obsessive hyper brain, almost in every interview. And it's something I bring up also because the film is going to probably get into this a little bit in the final version, because it's very much a part of my last few years of my life. Is I didn't know what autism was until about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Right. So not like I had a whole lifetime, and I still have another half of this fucking lifetime ahead of me. I hope, I suppose. Eventually it'll be, the mercy will come. But
I have autism as well. I've been autistic since I was 2 years old, so I can totally relate. And like my last,
you can go back to 0 if you want.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the paperwork when I, like a few years, like about 10 years ago, I saw the paperwork that said I was diagnosed autistic in June of 1994, which it's a little TMI there, but maybe
it's not TMI unless it's uncomfortable for you.
No, just Milas.
Did you? So can I ask you that? Did you did you know before you saw the paperwork, or was that
it was kind of hidden from me. I mean, I knew I was autistic for years, and but I had never really seen any kind of physical evidence kind of thing. But you know, I've learned, and also like I've learned a lot of you know, people with autism, you know, like people like me who get diagnosed later and early in life, and then there's some people that get diagnosed later in life, and there's all forms of autism and disabilities and whatnot. And I found out about there was a discriminatory term for people with autism in the form of ableism. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm still unwinding my own internalized ableism, and I also suffered some wrist injuries at a woodworking job that I got after TYT. So like related to the cartilage damage caused by vibrating tools. So yeah, that's another kind of emotional and physical and mental and spiritual kind of part of this whole journey is like even I still have a hard time saying I'm disabled. I still struggle with that. And I think that's a conversation that's happening far and wide too, with this greater awareness of neurotypes and with neurodivergence and shifting from saying there's something wrong with us to saying there's something different about us, and letting, you know, building out a world where people can feel and be accepted as their authentic selves, or go through a journey to find their authentic selves too. Because I think it's also important that we make space for people to not always have to be perfect, and to have this kind of sloppy process of growth and acceptance and knowledge. And even if that means they were misunderstanding something for a little time, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not a binary kind of like toggle switch that just turns on and off.
Yeah, it's not like a light switch that turns on and off either. I mean, it's
certainly not.
Like,
yeah.
And it's like what I've learned, you know, from you know, being autistic, you know, this is something that we live with. This is not something like something you can take for a headache and it goes away within an hour or so. I mean, this is for life, like for life, I tell you. And it's just something that we have to collectively, and probably a lot of people, I mean, I'm just realizing there's people in my chat that are friends of us that are also autistic, like Sandy and Bark Eater J, or Bark Eater Den. Well, he's Bark Eater J, or we just call him Bark for short. You know, who are autistic. It's like, well, I didn't know that. Now I do. And so it's like it's just one of those things. It's just like, wow, you know. I didn't know that, but it's like I'm not alone. But
no, well, I mean, they weren't looking for it in the early 80s when I was you know, possibly noticed. I was born in 79. Jimmy Carter was like Jimmy Carter was an aphrodisiac to my parents, I assume. I have no idea, but I like to think so. And that's anyway. I was about to expand on that. Anyway, yeah, like even if they were looking in this rotten ass healthcare system in our society anyway, we're all gonna, you know, avoid doctors, and because it's avoiding doctors means avoiding expenses. And so people who's, you know, it's just a crime against humanity, this entire fucking healthcare system in our country. Sorry about the swearing.
No, you can swear in this place. There's no censorship in it. Well, there's not that type of censorship.
I don't want to piss off the oil sponsors.
You don't want to piss off. I don't have
foreign illegal gambling website sponsors.
This show is sponsored by. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Don't. Yeah.
my way. I have a wicked sense of humor. So, as a couple of my friends in chat know. Oh, guess who just showed up? Showed up?
I actually can see the chat. I didn't realize it would all be.
Yeah, guess who just showed up in Letterhack? Matt is here, and he gets a mod wrench for just because he was. I'm taking a page from his. I'm not necessarily copying you, Matt. I'm just taking a page out of your book that, you know.
It would be wild if he sued you over, if he actually took that offensive. Like,
and
this means war.
I'd feel bad. Yeah, I'd feel bad afterwards.
Let me say something about that guy. First, he looks like an old 29. He looks like an old 29 or a very young 70. I think he's just such a healthy looking guy. I hope he doesn't take that personally.
No,
but he is so talented. He is so freaking skilled, and I because I see the different art styles when he does exactly the Beavis, the Silly and Billy t-shirts for the Vanguard, or the other art styles like the Peanuts style. That's where I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool that he can kind of replicate that stuff. I do some animations and some art in the thing, in the documentary, and one of my hopes is that I can talk with Matt again. And oh no, elbow from the sky, bust the union.
Oh, God.
Hey, my opponent started this union to try to make me look bad. That's what happened. Pay the mods, God damn it.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
But
yeah,
I just want to wrap up that thought. Is like, let me just go. All right, you
go ahead.
It's your show.
I was gonna say, no, it's fine. Pitchfork Dragon.
You just
was very much adamant about the mods getting paid, so I have to give kudos to him. So he's in my chat. If he hears that, Pitch, you were right. So solidarity with you, brother. Anyway, now you can finish your thought.
Oh, okay. I just want to say, like, just about Letterhack. Like, I'd love to have his eye and kind of review, or at least his comments on some of my drawings and my stuff. I've done some animation stuff. I did a big project for PBS animation for a comedian friend who hired me to do like 20 minutes of animation, 10 episodes, and there's some animations in the film. And it's like, as a professional illustrator, I don't know if Letterhack calls himself an animator quite, but his work could definitely be animated. But maybe he does. Maybe he has. He's probably done some of it. But my hope is that the next time he and I have a talk, because he was nice enough to have me on first, give him the scoop for that, and to take a chance on someone who might have been. I've been so worried and sort of taken great care. And among the reasons this project has taken quite a long time, there's lots of reasons. Nobody should make a documentary by themselves with wrists that hurt when they use their keyboard, and who have like autistic burnouts and have no money, and a cat. I took a cat.
Yeah, we should also
remind me to wait. All I want to say is I would love to first giving Matt credit for taking a chance and for allowing me to like be because I knew kind of, I figured it out. I mean, like it dawned on me, let's say, that if I'm going to make this film and really go all the way into like expressing why they didn't why they lied to their, not why they lied, but how they lied, and that's a challenge to their credibility, which invites challenges or invites interrogation of my credibility. Like, right. Like that's exactly expected. And so it very much could be that people might take a look at me and kind of be like, oh, this guy's a little goofy, and what's he up to? And this is all BS, and he's just a disgruntled weirdo. And then we're just going to kind of let him flail around in the corner. But Matt gave me a look, and I'm not saying that he's the arbiter of whether I am. I'm inviting anybody to interrogate my credibility and look at all the proof and evidence that I've posted on Substack. And I've really gone on my way to cross my T's and dot my I's, because I'm terrified of getting sued, for one thing. And also I was in the middle of this whole thing. And I know the absolute truth of how this union started, and the way that they communicated about it was 100% wrong. There's some nuance to it, but the fact that they covered up all reporting about the union afterwards, it helps affirm my case that the lie was intentional, and that the lack of fact checking was like, not I guess intentional, but like they didn't want to have to bother with the truth, because the truth would have revealed the way that Cenk treats workers and the reasons why workers secretly unionized at the Young Turks. So all that to say is 2025, I'm looking forward to connecting with Matt on the Letterhack, and maybe someday we get to work on art projects that aren't even related to this crazy shit. If he likes my stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Thanks.
There.
It's the aluminum. It's the aluminum in my armpits. That's how I passed the smell test.
I thought you said Illuminati. I was like, oh, you mean like the triangle with they put that
in deodorant too. Yeah, they're going to get it into everybody.
The Illuminati, it's everywhere, no matter what you say, no matter. It's like the X-Files, kind of. I mean, have you ever? I mean, I'm not that big of a conspiracy nut, but I have my curiosities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
do you want to talk X-Files, or do you want to talk like something a specific conspiracy? Did you watch X-Files?
I watched.
Are you a Buffy guy or an X-Files guy?
Well, kind of both. Actually, you know what? My grandmother got me into Buffy. We can kind of separate art from the artist, because like Joss Whedon is a fucking scumbag, and we can separate art from the artist. like, yeah, Buffy, you know, for me, it's like, yeah, that was like my introductory to like science fiction, well, you know, horror-ish
Horror
kind of,
fantasy, yeah, kind of
yeah,
a
horror fantasy kind of stuff. And then X-Files was kind of, you know, my introduction to like science fiction fantasy, like, you know, so I kind of had the best of both worlds as far as like television on, you know, weekdays and weeknights, because I grew up in a very WB network kind of home. That's where Buffy was originated. Then it went to UPN, and then it went to shit after. It went to shit after season 5, I think, is when she died, and then they brought her back because it changed networks from the WB to UPN, and then they brought her back. Yeah, and just it's on Tubi, the show Buffy, so I've actually kind of caught up with it. I still get emotional like with the episode where her mom dies, Christine Sutherland. And also the musical episode's pretty good. Once More with Feeling. So enough of that. I mean, I can go on and on and on about my different fanships.
We'll do that on the Buffy podcast.
Yeah, well, yeah. I wish I had a Buffy podcast. I don't know. I mean, if I did something like that, I'd have to separate art from the artist. But
I understand.
We'd have to do that. So you are the what do you do when it's out of season? Is what Atticus Among Us says in chat. When it's out of season, probably, I mean, it goes downhill, you know. But anyway, this series goes downhill. But enough. We'll put the subject of conspiracy theories and fandom aside for now.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
People are going to. They're interesting.
Are sort of a weird lens into society. I sort of look at it as like a window, but that's all I generally thought.
I used to be a very like conspiracy, whatever you want to call, skeptic, but then I think as I got older, I realized that, hey, dude, you're for lack of a better word, being offensive. So you kind of have to kind of take some of that back, which I have, you know.
Okay,
it's life. You know, I'm not as skeptic as I because you get older. You get much older as
tell me about it.
The brain matures and things like that. You know, you start getting
terribly. I look horrible. Yeah, I get it. Believe me, going bald
the
twice.
Brain. You're talking about losing your
my beard. There. Now it's finally creeping into the mustache, so it's like, oh god, this has been a long process. I had a nice full beard in like the first year of COVID. I was already starting to work on the film. And I just let it grow out. I'd never had it as bushy as it was. And then when I trimmed that off, there was like a quarter-sized patch missing. And but I've also got hair loss on the side. I went bald at 19. I was the guy, you know, as a teen who, you know, a young kid who taught everybody in high school that they're going to die. And then, but now, and I settled into baldness. I had actually a particularly lovely skull. I think everybody would agree, 100% beautiful skull. And yeah, but in the last several years, like my body has not been dealing with stress and related to
stress.
I blame the Young Turks thing, but like the way my body handles energy and handles its nervous systems and the sort of long line of fucked up white people I come from, and the childhood stresses and the childhood trauma and the classic sort of, you know, crazy. I don't know, it's maybe a little above average classic stuff. But yeah, so stress has been a presence in my life for a very long time. I think that's a lot to do with it. But having your beard fall off, especially when you're like the living example of why men love their beards to protect to hide the giant gross, you know. I got a bad one. Yeah. So anyway, that's my
sensitive.
I'm probably being mean and rough on myself, but I'm sort of holding. I'll work on the body image issues after I can afford enough money to buy like food and shoes and stuff. Because I'm.
We should also mention like Hank has got a cat that he has to get rid of because, you know.
Wait. If you've been listening to my show, I have been talking about this cat for years, 2 years now. And I took a cat in. She was starving outside my building. Just a sweet darling of a little girl. Super nice, and I couldn't handle seeing her in such a state. So we took her in after a few months feeding her outside, and hoping it would be like, oh, this is my cat. Like I grew up with cats. I've always had pets, dogs and stuff. I have 2 fish tanks behind me. One's covered up in a hoodie. I just didn't, I wasn't a cat guy, and it was a dumb decision to bring a cat into this environment where I need to be able to focus. And she produces a lot of organics coming and going. You know, I really am looking forward to not having to think at night when I get up to go pee, to think about barf, to be like, don't step in barf. Hope I don't step in barf. Hope I don't, you know, there's just a lot. It's all fine if the positive column fills up when you look at her, but I just don't have it. My mom loves her cat. She can't wait to see her cat. I can't wait for my cat to go to sleep. But I feel good that we saved her life and it turned into this foster situation. And so I've exhausted every single chance I can, or personal connection, to try to find somebody. Every neighbor, forming the union honestly burned about 70% of my bridges that I'd formed in LA. Like it ruined some friendships. It broke like I spent years building, when you work in an industry, you make contacts and stuff. So I don't know that many people anyway. Plus I've been in an undiagnosed autistic hermit mode. So it's not like I have a wide circle of friends. It's not. And long story short, I'm bouncing. I'm actually energized right now because it's really stressed me out for all kinds of reasons. Just being able to focus, because I get into these hyper anxiety spirals that make it harder for me to get my work done. And it's already a very stressful thing I'm doing anyway. All that to say, and actually, there's like some pictures of her. She's super pretty. She's a real sweetie, and some cuddling in the bed there. And what a darling. And man, gentle. We tried to find her original owner with the microchip, and we took her to the vet. My roommate spent money on it because he's a saint. My roommate is absolutely a wonderful guy. Just sorry to get to the good part. This is exciting.
Point, yeah. We are in the same.
Is that how you treat your guests, John? You tell them to get to the point? Is that your hosting style?
No. I'm just saying you and I are the same boat. We tend to ramble, and it's just like, yeah, we got to get to the point.
I do a solo podcast. Yeah. I do a solo. Yeah.
Which we should also mention you, Winners and Losers. It's a really good podcast, and
on YouTube.
On YouTube and Apple Podcast, and I
have a great voice.
Really, really good. Yeah.
I
mean, that's how I found you. Actually,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's how I found your show after watching like the first bit of Tell the Truth Cenk, and then realizing, oh, this guy, I remember you because you were used to go on when you were with TYT, you were on Happy Half Hour with Brett Ehrlich all those years ago, and
I enjoyed
you were, I mean, I could fanboy out for another like a couple hours, but
do it.
I did well.
I need the confidence.
We need the I could just say, like, I remember watching you on Aggressive Progressive back in the day when
I don't think I ever did. I was on Jimmy Dore in 2016 though, if you recall. Before the cameras.
I think I've made it clear. I think I've actively openly said that I was never a fan of Jimmy Dore, even when he was at TYT. So hope you don't take offense to that.
You're out of the will. How dare you?
I'm out of the will. I'm out of the leftist will that I'll never get inheritance from anyone.
You're no longer.
Yeah, I was never. Yeah, I honestly has never been a big Jimmy Dore fan for. I didn't get him. I found him to be a little, I just didn't get him. I didn't get his humor. Not everyone can pull the humor the way George Carlin did, or Eddie Murphy, or Richard Pryor, or Dick Gregory, or Dick Cavett. Dick Cavett, yeah. Who else? These are all like
dicks there are.
These are my heroes. Murphy's, like Pryor, Gregory, Carlin. I'm trying to think. There's somebody else.
Poundstone.
What's that?
Poundstone. Paula Poundstone.
I've heard of her.
It's fine. I have
heard of her. I've heard of her.
Roseanne.
used to be a fan before she like went down the pivot.
Hit show. Early.
Well, I mean, yeah,
that's like
I
80s, that's the 80s.
I will say the old version before her like weird, kind of akin to Anna Kasparian pivot towards right wing, whatever she's on.
Yeah.
Like the old school show was great, but now I just feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually
she suddenly goes on to Jesse Single podcast or something and like is but it's Roseanne, I mean, not Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I think we're getting a little distracted.
No, I was gonna say Pitchfork. I do remember the Simon's. I actually have a video.
Yeah, Simonson of Simon. Yeah, I was around when he came up with that and was starting to do that. I liked Brett a ton, man. I got along with him really well. We sat close to each other in the office, and so we were kind of like we gelled with our sort of funny guy brains. So he and I had a lot of I would say of the people at TYT, he's easily one of the top. Like,
yeah,
if I were to do like a spreadsheet of the total conversation time, he's easily in the top 2 or 3 for sure. Just because we joked around a whole bunch and stuff.
Yeah,
he probably I don't know if I'll ever interact with some of those people again. It all depends. I maybe someday in the far future. I don't have animosity to the crew or anybody.
Yeah,
not even to Cenk. But like, I imagine a lot of people there having interesting and different thoughts about what I'm up to in this whole project as well. So it's a strange. This whole thing is pretty weird. But yeah, Brett was really smart and really funny guy.
I mean,
be on Happy Half Hour.
I had one. I mean,
I edited Happy Half Hour too when I was there when we were starting.
Yeah. Oh, that's now I know. You say you were an editor for TYT for like, if I'm correct, you were 2013 to 2015 or 2017, and then went back in 2018, and then went back in 2018 and then laid off, or I want to say laid off, but like let go in 2020, like around the time the whole union effort was actually starting up is when they let you go. It was you, it was Haas, it was Francis Maxwell, and Brooke Thomas.
Yeah, that was the 4 people laid off the day that I was laid off. Not like with saying Haas was laid off, people think like, oh no, it's like he was way past TYT in stature and income, and his attention was rightfully focused on Twitch in like 2019. Like, I'm not sure exactly when it started to work big, but because of his foundation at the Young Turks, he was able to like at least start Twitch. Yes, was he raking it in and doing what he's doing now? Then no, obviously not. So he did start small, but he had a very substantial foundation with an uncle's. That's the nepotism bonus that you get. And honestly, I would have taken it too. I'm not saying I think nepotism is worth talking about because it's a factor of the way power is allowed to flow in our country, in our in our world. And it's one that it's not necessarily ever going to go away either, even in the utopia that we'd all like to build. Where everybody is a video game streamer and gets Chinese food every night. At least that's my fantasy.
Yeah, I mean the ironic thing now, but is like Haas is like what's been revealed. I think was it you brought it up or the Vanguard? I don't know. Maybe it was you and the Vanguard brought up the appearance on Will Neff's show, Fear and that's the podcast name. Was it he was paid? He was demoted, and then he was like paid like lower sal, like 21K, and that was like Cenk's doing. I could be getting this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I will. Tell the truth, John. Tell the truth, John. New documentary.
Tell the truth. Yeah.
No, a couple things.
Podcaster, low life lefty podcaster has to tell the truth. That's going to be this new title for the show. That's going to be like, yeah.
Low life is a funny term. No, a couple corrections though. My job history at TYT was I moved across the country to work for TYT in 2013. And then it worked until like early 2015. Stayed within the orbit. I didn't end on like bad terms. In fact, during that time, so I could just back up a slight bit more, is that when I was starting to listen to shows and stuff, Sam Cedar, Majority Report, Tom Hardman, Rachel D, Chuck Maddow, Liz Winstead did a show. Did I say Rachel D and Chuck Maddow? I did, didn't I?
Rachel Maddow and Chuck D. Yeah, flip the names around.
So the Air America output, right? Al Franken, and of that bunch, actually, TYT was one of the ones I was a little bit slower to get to try out. I just tried a bunch of others. There's only so much room in your media diet. But I've literally listened to podcasts probably 6 to 12 hours a day for the last 25 years. Like, it's always been my radio. I was a pretty early adopter of like mobile podcasting stuff when I was driving around cleaning fish tanks. And but then I introduced a buddy to TYT, and he took to it, and he ended up becoming a volunteer for them. And then, if you guys all remember, like the deep TYT lore, is that core foundation of people was JR, Dave Kohler, Jesus, and
I think Steve-O was later.
Steve-O came in a little bit later, and then Anna was before Steve-O, I believe. I could be wrong. Jill Pike was around in the first one. In the first iteration.
I remember Jill.
Yeah, she's in the film briefly. If you've seen the middle 38 minutes chunk of the movie, because I'm good at naming things. That's brilliant. First 46 minutes and middle 38 minutes. So there's a playlist on my channel, by the way, if you want to find the films easily, and I'm sure John will have the links. But but in TYT lore, though, they reached a point where they needed to expand a little bit, and they hired 2 people from the outside, whose names I'm not going to say, but these 2 were, one of them was my friend. That's how I had the contact at the Young Turks. And I had already been tinkering with video editing. I was always pretty good with the camera. I always had kind of this creative streak. I started doing stand-up comedy in 2009. Among the podcasts I was listening to around then was Comedy and Everything Else with Jimmy Dore. Pretty kind of a big fan of that, because they would talk stand-up. And when you're starting out in stand-up comedy, you're just like voracious about all comedy stuff. Different comedians come to it from different. Not everybody starts out the same exactly, but you kind of get obsessive about it. So you listen to stuff that's, a lot of comedy stuff. And Jimmy it was with Todd Glass. I think Steph was on the air with him too. And they would talk to all kinds of already successful made comedians in the LA world. And he would go on these liberal rants that I agreed with, and I was like, man, I got my friend at TYT, and I this Jimmy Dore guy's in LA. So I told my buddy, I said, yo, check out that guy in LA. Just maybe he'd be a guest, try it. And then they didn't. Then I did it again, just to be like, yo, did you guys ever check out that Jimmy guy? And then he's like, oh yeah, we're going to email him. And if you go on YouTube, you can still find Jimmy's first appearance on TYT in 2011. But so I'm literally the guy who recommended Jimmy to TYT. Like, if I hadn't done that, it's pretty likely they wouldn't have connected. I mean, they might have met him at some point in LA, but so that's an interesting piece of lore that I played at the company. And I was it was kind of impulsive, but I told my buddy, like, I've been making short films, I've been editing lots of stand-up stuff. I know I'm not like ready for this per se, but he knows me really well. And like I said, like, if there's a possible opportunity, like I'm getting kind of stir crazy in Chicago, maybe. And then they're like, he goes, yeah, I talked to Steve-O. And then, by the way, I see in the chat, someone says, who the hell is, let's Looney Tunes 9000.
Looney Tunes. Yeah.
Steve-O.
Go ahead.
You go. No,
you should, because you would know him better.
You go. You go, motherfucker. Sorry, I'm feeling comfortable, so I'm going to start swearing at you.
That's what we go here.
Yeah. All right. Well,
anyway, who is Steve-O?
Steve-O was a buddy at Jenks. I don't know how far back precisely. So I can't say if they grew up together or high school or something, but I think he knew Cenk from New Jersey. But he was like TYT's kind of first executive build-out talent. Maybe Dave Kohler you'd call first if we had to get precise about all that. But so Steve-O came in and kind of functioned as operations and, sort of stuff that you would need someone to do as an organization grows. And then you guys all remember that he hosted, so he would do on-air stuff too. He would go on the main show, and I'm sure he was involved in a ton of TYT's projects that have, lived and died over the years. And then I think he left the company. Did he stay on till the end of Progressives? I don't remember or not, but so he was like a top executive, but he was also on with Jimmy on Aggressive Progressives. So people would recognize him from that, probably the most forward-facing side of it. Yeah. So that's the answer. And then so I moved to LA within like 5 weeks. I had to sell my business. I had to sell all my furniture. Pitchfork Dragon says he was on with Mark Thompson a lot. Yeah, that's right.
No relation to you, I hope.
No, although our names are only 2
say.
letters apart. We are very close. I like Mark. I'd like to get in touch with him. I'd love to see if he wants to help fund the movie about the company where the union busting and the lying happened, although he might take issue. I don't know. I think people, when they see how much proof I have and how much work I've done, they'll be like, oh my God. So anyway, that's a side point. I like Mark Thompson. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Does a show still. Amazing voice. He was the voice of American Idol.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
He was a weatherman and then but did voiceover work with a deep, manly Mark Thompson voice. Just absolutely phenomenal, man.
He did he does the bye at the end of the, I think it's at the end
of bye.
Yeah, with the wave. So yeah, definitely. So anyway, you joined so you came out to LA and did stand-up comedy, or tried your hand at stand-up comedy.
Kept doing it. Yeah.
And
but mostly I was focused on
pizza. He's in the chat and he says pizza.
Perfect.
I had pizza last night. But,
listen, if anybody ever thinks that me or any content is more important than pizza, something's wrong. Pizza should always be number one, right?
Yeah.
Pizza is just one of humanity's finest moments. That and cookies. Pizza and cookies. Circular foods mostly, I'd say.
Pizza, cookies, and donuts are all my thing.
The thing that pisses me off about capitalism is we fucking nailed cleaning water and making great food. And can we just build a world where everybody gets to have both of those things?
Yeah.
Like, we're so good at food. And every culture is amazing at their own weird, crazy, fun, awesome foods. It's such a tragedy. I hate this society.
It's such a travesty.
I get upset when I think about how
it's a rant. You can also rant here too. This is a rant space, a safe rant space, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
You can swear, you can rant, you can just don't say anything to where like you could say 4-letter words. You can do everything and you have to be careful because now I have mods. I have mods now. I just realized I can now
what if there was a mod in my bedroom though and like came over here and like pulled me out of the frame? Anyway, so like I moved to LA and it was a huge change and it was a really exciting and weird and stressful time. I slept on a buddy's floor for a month before I actually was lucky enough to find this apartment. One of the things I'm most grateful for in my time here has been meeting my roommate and living in this apartment and having a parking spot that I get to, I'm very fortunate for this, but it's also like among the primary thing I'm going to be fundraising for at the beginning of the year to finish this movie is to pay my roommate back because he's the one who's financed this film. He's the guy. I mean, he doesn't want me to be homeless. It's rent debt. He's actually a former TYT fan. He when I first met him, answered a Craigslist ad. And I told him about TYT, and he's like, "Oh, I watched TYT. Oh my God!" So we've become close, and that was like over 10 years ago. So we're close buddies. But boy, I really have to honor his contribution to this project. Anyway. And if I keep talking about it, I'm probably going to start crying because I'm so grateful.
You can cry. You can cry.
I know. I already cried a little today though, because that was actually pretty good earlier. I had a good cry because of the. Good news about the cat, which if you want to get back to that, you should ask me.
I was gonna say a few of our mutuals have a friend that is a cat person. I mean, I don't know if
wait. Well, maybe I should say that before anybody starts sending out emails or trying to help on my behalf, because actually I was literally like thinking, you know what, I need this film to succeed so I can get not famous, but so I can reach enough people to get to help me get rid of this cat. Like that's your goal in like your life. Your aspiration is just to know enough people to find that someone's who takes the cat. Anyway, here's the just to wrap up this thread.
Yeah,
I walk past this house. This lady, she's watering, and she goes, "Oh, sorry," and I go, "That's all right." And I realize, oh wait a minute, that's the house right by my house. And I stop and I just talk to her and I say, hey, wait a minute, I lived over there. I introduced myself and I said, I had this cat. And did you remember seeing this cat? And she goes, yeah, that's my cat. Not like she was mad, but she goes, we took that cat in 5 years ago. And so long story short, I found this woman's daughter is going to take the cat. I found somebody to take the cat.
So you found somebody.
Literally happened like an hour and a half ago. I'm fucking thrilled. Maybe
so now you found I guess the news is now you finally found a new owner. You found the owner.
The original owner.
The original owner for the cat, and now
and they were so sweet.
Overjoyed.
They were so nice. They were super nice people. I'll go into the story of my podcast. I love to do personal rambling. I do 45 minutes of nonsense before I get to the meat. So sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
I can't tell. This thing has stressed me out so much, and it's been. It was irresponsible. I did the right thing. I mean, roommate too, but like we did the right thing, bringing her in because she was outside in a really bad shape, and so it became a foster situation because it was like I just don't want the cat, and I'm borrowing money to take care of the cat. But now, I told I was like, we'll connect in a couple days and we'll figure it out, and we'll make sure that we can transfer. So now I'm gonna sorry, I don't need to swear. We're gonna.
It's fine.
I cried walking home. I was so I felt such stress relief walking back. And see, this is. It's really been hard to have all this distraction and like I'm so thrilled that I can find someone that the cat will be loved and she will get the care that she deserves, and I also will be in touch with the neighbor who can get me like updates. You know what I mean? Like I'm grateful to see that because the cat will have a rough few weeks, but then she'll be back with someone who wants a cat. You really have to want a freaking cat. Otherwise, it's just.
Mila says in the chat, congratulations.
She's so cute. Look at that girl.
Aww.
Look at her.
Oh,
darling. Crazy.
Oh, that is so.
See? Sorry, it's not autofocusing there.
It's fine. I grew up with siblings that were cat people, and I never called them my own, but I can.
He watches YouTube.
Oh,
she loves YouTube. Yeah. This is what my podcast is like, by the way, guys.
Yeah, this is the video version of Winners, and most podcasts are usually like that kind of the way you do it. I mean, most.
No, they aren't. I'm unique.
Most. I think with me, I'm more of just like a free flow interview style, and then I for people who watch on the Twitch side, I'm like the gamer type. So,
nice.
So getting back to the TYT saga drama, so fast forward, you go to LA, you do your hand at comedy, you have a friend who again, I should say will remain nameless, who's working for TYT, and you apply for an editor. I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, go ahead.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You go in, there was like an editor. Like how did you become like the editor of Jimmy Dore?
Well,
and
I brought editing skill and I brought camera skill, but I wasn't like a media professional. I had been doing it like I sort of self-taught everything. I'd been taught myself a little video editing even before I started doing stand-up comedy. I was experimenting with a lot of that. So it's not like I was like this highly talented, sought after, person. And I was willing to work for very cheap. I was paid. So I started out right away with a job, and they said, we'll do the first month as a test, see how it goes. And then we'll decide if we want to have it again. And so I was like, I sold everything. I sold my business to 2 other different aquarium dudes, so that I was able to get a little income from them for like a couple of years because we agreed to a price. They just paid me a percentage of my clients' revenue. I was so happy for that. It's not like that was a lot, but it was enough to take the bite off of it somewhat. A few $100 a month, like not like a lot, but I gave up a ton just to go try out for a month. So I was very motivated, and it was very important that I honored my friend's vouch too, because I didn't want to just show up and flame out in something or mess up. And I'm a fast learner, and I'm steady on my feet. I'm good with cameras. I'm really good with computers. So I brought a good like energy and a willingness to do whatever, and that's what you do. And it was like by that point they were at the current TV studio, nearing the end of it, kind of. TV.
Yep.
Yeah. So Cenk had already been on MSNBC in 2011, and I can't quite remember if the film Mad as Hell was already out. I think it came out in 2014.
It was
with
2014, 2015, and I saw it. I actually watched it. I checked out a interlibrary loan copy from my college.
That's cool.
Because I found I watched the trailer. I mean, this is back when I liked TYT. And
I figured.
and then I watched during the pandemic. They had it on like one of their free streaming websites, and was like, oh,
cool.
this is so.
It's a well-made movie. Yeah.
Anyway, well, I mean, I look back now and it's like that's very more like the mix. I like did like my research on the film and read the critical reception, and a lot of critics agreed that the show was more revolved around Cenk's ego than the history of TYT itself. And looking, from a a spectator point of view now, all these years later, it's like, yeah, I totally get that. Because again, having been there as a moderator and seeing the Vincent Morales wants to see your dragon face.
All right.
I don't know what you mean by that. Or maybe. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm new to this stuff, so if it looks like I'm a little, I apologize. Yeah, so that
was a picture of a chicken pot pie.
Oh, okay.
If you put little onions on it, about for the last 25 minutes, they crisp up nicely and turn a little brown, and then I like to jam sausage and onions into it after I pull it out of the oven.
Quick question: is that homemade chicken pot pie?
I am available. No, I can't afford homemade. Are you crazy?
Oh, okay, so it's like
what kind of money bags do I look like?
Oh
no, I would actually like to experiment with expanding chicken pot pies and stuff, but no, I've been on a little pot pie kick lately.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know what a dragon face is, but that's what you got.
Anyway, yeah. So like the critics of Mad as Hell, like I understand now, it's more about Cenk's ego than the history of TYT itself. But so you worked at current, like the TYT, the current TV studio, which is Al Gore's TV show with Joel, or TV network with Joel Hyatt. Like again, it's kind of with Air America, it was like supposed to be like this like liberal, or not like left, like as you could say, like left wing, alternative to like MSNBC or whatnot.
Yeah.
So you were working at TYT at the current TV era, which would be like 2011, 2012 to like when current TV got sold off to Al Jazeera, and then they shut down the TV, the TV side, the TV in the network in like 2014, 15.
Well, yes, they were already at current when I showed up, and they were actually, I was part of the transition from of studio spaces too. So I was actually involved with like one era, and then I saw and actually helped a lot with the building out the next one. So this is a little detailed. Well, some people that go way back, if you remember when TYT moved studios and they had sort of this construction-y looking background with these like angled gray things in the back. If everybody remembers, like the background, they had like the big TV that showed stuff, but they would.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
These were 2 foot by 8 foot soundproof panels that I built. They're like, we need to soundproof this room, and I was like, I got some skill, let's do it. And so like me and a couple other people, but I very much like helmed it, built like 36 2 by 8 foot soundproof panels. We did research on getting the right acoustic property. There's like foam or insulation sort of material designed for studio spaces like that. We did a ton of research, bought the wood, went to the downtown LA to the Fabric District, where these pretty incredibly like interesting stores, and this whole fashion district downtown LA is really a wild place to visit too if you're not familiar.
I've heard
pick out the right material. You heard what?
I've heard of Melrose Place.
Melrose Place.
Yeah.
Is that a fashion show? I mean, do they do fashion in the Melrose Place universe?
Like it's like a shopping area is Melrose Place. There's it's a TV show, and then there's also a shopping area in LA called Melrose Place. That's where they named the show.
I had no idea. I've never made shopping money.
And
so anyway, like, so I if you guys recall that shot though of the backgrounds, they used these big gray things because they're kind of these like boring, but we could move them around easily. So they used them to like build up the background set, if you recall. I built those. That's all I'm just saying. So I played a role in like doing some of that. In fact, at the time, I did people were allowed to use the equipment in the show in the studio. So I did a show called Infinite Clicks, where I did like kind of a show in the studio. We'd come in on the weekend, and that was a lot. We had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun doing that, but I didn't push all the way through. I mean, obviously I don't still do it, but like it, I think we made a good 40 clips out of it, doing stories and stuff. And I've started a bunch of other YouTube channels as well. One of them which did okay. That one's called Suck Professor, where I've been posting some video game stuff lately. I really want to do some content that is easier on my soul to produce, stuff that's less likely to make the rest of my body hair fall out.
I forgot to put that in the Chiron at the bottom.
Don't. It's okay. Yeah, that's all right. I'm going to be plugging it on my show. So, but I got a lot of focus. I mean, right now I'm trying to shift my attention to getting the fundraiser set up and going, and then like really finishing this video, because I truly need this thing to be done. It's honestly kind of really, it's not a joyful process. Only in the last couple of weeks, last month maybe, especially this last week. This last week has been completely bonkers. This last week has gone. Things have been just wild. I'm so behind on getting stuff posted, and I'm trying to keep up with it. You're doing
a podcast, you're doing a documentary, you're doing
rabble rousing on Twitter.
Yeah. I still call it Twitter. I don't call it X. I will never call it X, or by its other name. So yeah, I mean, just a lot of work, and I also feel like that perseverance, the persistence that you have, will pay off eventually. I mean, you'll definitely have to go the fundraiser route, because that's, I mean, what can you do? No pun intended. So it's just like, it's just the way it is, unfortunately. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So I guess I started them off as questions, and then kind of like lost my train of thought, and then decided to just make like little notes. So if I look down, it's because I'm looking at my notepad here, my clipboard. And then we kind of already answered. Well, I mean, we kind of answered when you went to TYT, but I guess it, like, can ask like what you could again, I'm stuttering. The process, if you could explain of forming the union at TYT, and how that came about.
All right, so here we go into this. Is like, I sort of have this high. I mean, I'm just worried about sound like a too not to get too far afield, but this could be a movie, like this could be, or a TV, like, or like a multi-episode, like multi-season TV, like this. So this would be roughly when the time period of the movie would be about. And maybe depending on how we'd write that, it'd be like maybe also this whole process of making the film too, but whatever, that's a side point though. But so I was at the Jimmy Dore role ended in like late 2016. After that, it just sort of, ran its natural course. Ron Placone kind of stepped up and took the position that I had. They were starting to get much bigger. I brought a ton of skill to that operation, all in one person. I did on-air sidekick, I did studio setup, I did camera, sound, publishing, editing, and on air, and being, trying to pay attention and say funny things. So you might have heard my voice on Jimmy's show in 2016. But that meant I was still within the TYT orbit this whole time. So I stayed in touch, went back to TYT. I reached out. I was starting to have like difficult mental issues and just energy, and like my lifelong depression and other problems was starting to like really shake up, and like it became anxiety dominant instead of depression dominant. For a little while, I was afraid of dogs. Like I'd never been afraid of dogs. And then like for about a year, every dog, not just big ones, but like I'd see a dog and my body would rush with fear. I was odd. And I was doing Postmates, and I was like trying to get by and barely making any money and tired. And like I have light and noise sensitivities, and driving for that many hours a day was just brutal. And so I reached out. I had also done some freelance work. Some people knew me. The only freelance work I ever got was through word of mouth, including like that bigger animation project that I mentioned earlier, when I was trying to draw the ladder hack into art schemes. And so they said, hey, I got a call from the guy, and he goes, said the editor departing, the editing department manager. In the previous iteration at TYT, I did a lot of different jobs. I worked for mostly on the Jimmy Dore show at the time. And so I did studio setup, directing, editing, and publishing. I was basically like the one-stop shop for the content that was coming out of that. And then they figured out that I was good with words, so they not switched so much, but they assigned me to do headlines and SEO, and I ended up getting 2 YouTube certifications. And I've rewound the story slightly here, but so I had 2 YouTube certifications, and so like they knew me, is I guess what I'm saying. So the guy calls me up because I told him I was interested if they had any need. Said, hey, we need somebody. Do you want to come in on Monday? Here, the rate's $21.63. That's not negotiable. You good to start on Monday? I go, yeah, let's do it. Awesome. Best job interview in the world. Didn't have to say anything. And they just told me when it starts. And I was like, I'm desperate. I need the work. Absolutely. I know I'm good at editing. I know at least half the people still there. It's not far from my place. This is about as, this was a lifeline for me. So I was very, very eager to like settle into some steady income, because I was having I was starting to plot like moving home to my parents, the only move I could do. And it was kind of scary and I needed it. So, but then starting right out the gate, and I knew I wasn't necessarily heading into like a high respect environment is how I've decided to phrase it. I'd seen the sausage made before. I was familiar. I was aware. I was up to not up to speed on every person's story or anything, but I knew. But like they make me sign this contract that says I'm going to function as an independent contractor, and that's currently on baldontheinside.substack.com. I have it posted, not the entire full contract, but like snippets of it that show that I would get 0 benefits. Is very detailed, exactly what benefits I don't get. And I'm like, I mean, I need the work. I'm gonna, okay, but well, how long is this going to go on for? I figured 1 or 2 months, maybe. I really hoped that I could go to a doctor. I was almost 40. I was like, seems weird that I'd not, but okay, maybe it's a trial period. Maybe it's a break-in phase. I would have been okay with that. It would have been really irritating, but we're conditioned to shut up and take it in this rotten ass country. And so, but then it just kept going on, and I would be like, maybe can I get hired full time, or can I properly get, because I'm working full time. I got assigned to Aggressive with Jimmy Dore, Happy Half Hour with Brett Ehrlich. I did Francis Maxwell's breakdown videos like 3 times a week. The role that I filled, it opened because, and the person who held it was was classified full-time regular employee with benefits. So on Friday, the job had benefits. On Monday, when I show up, it's an independent contractor job. That's shady. That's shady as AF, right? So
yeah,
but I figure maybe it'll get better. I don't like it, but we'll see. And I did backup editing for Hassan. I did some special project development stuff. I would do main show editing too occasionally. Go into the room and get some Cenk and Anna or whoever's the host and do the stuff, and like the daily routine editing, the sort of like the stuff that happens all the time, is pretty brainless. Not to say it's like, you got to focus so you don't make mistakes, but it's pretty routine. But there's other sort of more intense creative editing as well. And as the time goes on, though, I started in October, and then we move into like the spring, March, April, May. People are taking days off. People are taking vacations. They're getting paid for days off. I'm not getting paid for anything. I took 6 days off in May, or was it 5? I think I took 5 days off in May. No, that was a 6-day one. I took, because there's 2 periods. I took a 6-day vacation and a 5-day vacation, and so the total vacation days I took off was 11. And there was another 9 holidays that I didn't get paid for. So my total unpaid days off in 12 months was 20, which amounts to about $3,400, which I would have been paid had I been classified differently or classified as an employee. So, but I had heard this story from other people about a year prior. Remember, so I start late 2018. Now we're in 2019, but about a year prior in 2018, workers had reached out to IATSE under their own initiative, obviously, in secret. They wanted to form a union to deal with something that I'm not at liberty to explain. But things are going on that needed attention. Then a round of firings happened. There's an article, I think it's in the Wrap, but I might be wrong. But there's an article that writes about a bunch of firings that occurred at TYT in 2018.
Yep.
You recall that
part of that?
Oh, did she? Yeah. It was the biggest one of like the sort of it was a big round because they had.
I know.
Go ahead.
I was saying, Nomiki Konst was part of that. What's her name? It was part of. There's a lot of people like that would do the entertainment division, which would be like Nerd Alert and What the Flick and the show that Pop Trigger. I forget the people's names. I could picture them.
Hannah Cranston.
Hannah Cranston
Grace
was one of those.
Did Murder with
Grace.
Friends.
Yep, Grace was there. It's like Smash in chat says, "Do we have a secret handshake?" No, but let's talk off camera and we can.
You should do a secret head shake.
Head shake, yeah. There you go. We'll do head shake or pitchfork.
But if you do it, it stops being a secret.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. I'm bad at I'm like my mind is like so very neurodivergent. And also Mila in chat also says, if I can just pull it up here. Hold on. Let me just, because chat goes so fast. Mila on Resin on chat in chat says my dad was a member of IATSE. Oh, nice, real nice. I wish I had a union card. I mean, I have a a card with a leftist. I mean, I'm a card carrying DSA member, but I need to have a union card because I'm big on pro unions on unions these days. I'm a big pro union guy, which means I support unions.
Me too.
And plus I listen and watch a lot of More Perfect Union lately. And I'm also reading Kim Kelly's book, which if you've seen the speaking of the articles, the New Republic article about that Kim Kelly wrote about the Cenk union busting. I read that. I think it was that one or in the Politico article that Cenk got very, very pissy and threw a thing of papers on the wall and later fired to court.
Yeah,
or on the floor. Yeah,
that was the Huffington Post piece. Details that. That's written by Dave Jameson. Right. Yeah,
HuffPost. Yeah, and I think I also because I know Kim Kelly interviewed you for that article.
Yes,
and,
by email. It was a text email.
Yeah.
Interview. So
and so that, I mean, again, I'm reading her book and it's a fascinating. Oh, you pronounce your last name as Reason. If I can do this, will show. Sorry, my computer's kind of it's on. I don't know what's wrong with my computer.
You're doing great.
My apologies, Mila. I will remember that for the next time. Mila Reason. So, and she also wanted to ask you, Hank, do you know who Danny Goldberg?
Honestly, that name doesn't even hit me. Back in Air America, so that was way back. I thought you were thinking of a TYT era person. No, honestly, but I don't have any. That name doesn't even ring a bell in any way for me, not even slightly. So they're speaking of documentaries. There was a documentary about the history of Air America that had Sam Cedar in it, like very early on, like Majority Report. And I forget again. My mind is blank. I know I have the documentary, and it's a really good documentary about the history of Air America. It came out in 2004. And it's funny because TYT
TYT, wasn't mentioned in the document. But anyway, so I mean, this came out in 2004, and yet TYT was around for about 2 years at that point. So it's kind of weird that they weren't mentioned for some reason. I do not. Okay.
I don't know.
And also Smash, our dear friend, we call her Smashy, but Smash, asked, what are anyone's thoughts on John Iadarola quitting TYT and branching off into his own show? We would all have dragons backing him, in my opinion. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about, I think, how long folks like John Iadarola and J.R. Jackson and Francesca Fiorentini are going to last at the TYT Network. I mean, this is not the only time that I'm not the only one thinking about this. I mean, people before me, like Vanguard, have speculated. I mean, I mean, do you want to go first on this, or would you like me to go first?
You tell me. You need to. I can absolutely just. I'm like a dragonfly. If I land and you move, I'll if once I get going, I'll go, and you need me to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think also
if you want to collect your thoughts, I'll talk for 5 minutes.
Should we do a little like signal with this pen, like you go first, and like I don't know.
We should touch. Let's touch tips. How about we touch tips?
Yeah,
touch it. No, point it at the camera. Come on, it's Hollywood.
Yeah, my camera.
The camera
side.
Oh boy.
My camera's off to the side, so
turn to the right.
There.
Point it at the camera lens.
I am pointing it at the camera lens. It is.
There you go. Now you're there. Now you're barrel down. Sorry for being so. I feel like I'm being a little.
No, it's fine. That's
touch tips,
I'm
John.
Like that way too. That's how I am too at times. Well, I mean, I think a lot of the rumor is rumor. Because now, like, the news, like, Mondale Robinson is no longer there, and Ben Dixon's gone, and I think there's kind of this weird like situation of, well, how long is it going to be? And so I don't know. I'd say I'd probably give it maybe a year, maybe at least the first part of this year. I mean, we only time will tell. You never know. These things are very unexpected. I mean, it was, I mean, at this point, I see them staying for at least the better part of this year. And if probably by either next summer or next fall, they're probably going to probably weigh their options once their kids get a little older. But,
well, I mean,
my chat
that's
is
kind of
growing.
the part of what's so rotten about this country, not TYT, but like that they get their health care through their employer, and they have a family, and they have considerations like that, and income goes away, and you're already on the edge, and things are probably going to get potentially very kinetic in the first part of the year, or who knows how rapidly prices and other chaos might ensue or something like that. So it's very uncertain, and that means that you have to submit even more to the labor extractors of the world, and that's a benefit to the bosses. And so, like, that's sort of the foundational. Because one of my hopes for this film is that it becomes educational for others who don't know anything about TYT. It's clearly like and by necessity almost it has to sort of navigate through the trampoline gym of online drama sphere first, in a sense, right? But I it's not intended or hope, and I think there's substantive issues and concepts that it explores that are relevant way past the drama stuff, because it touches on the age-old disputes, tension, extractive manipulation between order givers and order takers. And what do you got to do in order to have to put up with less bullshit? Because that's ultimately what it all comes down to, is leverage. And so they make it so that maybe because I've seen Francesca, I don't watch her show all the time. I'm trying to keep up with everything, especially in the last couple of weeks. There's so much chatter about TYT, and I do watch a lot of it. Honestly, it's really slowed down
Yeah,
it's overwhelming. Yeah, and I'm looking for talk about my stuff. I'm looking for things maybe I could use in the film. Although I'm sort of at the end of that, I don't necessarily think that it's not like I want. It's like I have to. It has to hit an end point at somewhere, which is probably going to be where Cenk denies being a union buster. But actually, I do got to say this, and since I'm sure people from TYT are watching everything I do, congratulations to the lawyers who get paid to be entertained. Aren't you guys lucky, scoundrels? Shit. Like I'm not in charge of this movie. Do you know what it's a documentary. I don't decide how it ends. That's not, you know what I'm saying? I'm documenting what's happening. I had that thought yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm actually, because I'm constantly sort of editing in my brain. One of the reasons I'm a pretty good editor is because my brain works on shit when I'm not editing. Like that's among the reasons $21.63 an hour for professional editing was a pretty good deal for me with zero benefits. So maybe something could happen between now and when I finish the movie that ends up in the movie, but I'm still kind of watching for all the reactions, and I'm finally seeing people talking. And let me say this too. I'll probably do this on my podcast. I was working on getting the videos ready today, finally, because this week I haven't been able to get anything prepped. Humanist Report, Mike Figueredo watched it. He said on the Leftist Mafia that he watched the film, and he's in it. And I come at him kind of hard when he's introduced. And it's not because I was criticizing him so much, although it certainly could be interpreted that way. It's because I was showing how people were receiving and processing the information that they were being fed by people they trusted, right? Because that's the whole kind of thesis, is that Cenk took advantage of the trust of his audience in order to enlist people's faith in him in order to bust this union and to justify the union busting by labeling us as the establishment, as well as, and the ultimate goal there is to avoid the story that I've been telling, which is, why did workers unionize, right? So it worked. It didn't have to be accurate, and it had a little foundation of some reason to be like, think something untoward was happening, which is the fact that IATSE had endorsed Cenk's opponent in the race. So the movie is about a political event that is fascinating too, aside from my own personal closeness to the whole thing. And obviously I'm biased. Obviously I can't be fully objective. I can force it. I can load up the objectivity software, but nobody's going to watch me and be like, well, I mean, you might assess that I'm being honest and offering good faith, but what's needed most is a third party investigator, journalist who really wants to examine this. And that would never have happened if I didn't decide to do this, but because I'm challenging Cenk's credibility at his absolute core, as well as saying that if you crack open that credibility by refuting their version of the story, then the answers to why we unionized become public or get widely known. And he'll have to tell his audience that he lied to them and that the reasons his workers unionized was not what he said. And then it's going to be, well, what was it? Oh, well, it was that they used classification to deny benefits, because I decided to wake up the union drive in the spring of 2019, when I was feeling very frustrated and mad about it. As I said, I had three choices. I could either shut up and take it, I could quit, or I could start a union. And it felt like I was bullied in 7th grade, and it felt like I was being bullied. It was like, this is bullshit. I'm sorry. This is over the freaking line. It's not just the vague disrespect. It's not just low pay, because that's not something you'd make a documentary about. We all sort of used to, protecting our bosses by, not describing how the sausage gets made. It's not that. This was an ethical violation and a direct threat to my life. If we're going to accept the idea that lack of health insurance, and I don't know, somebody who I used to admire and look up to, that made a very strong case over many, many years about how dangerous it is to live without health insurance and why everybody deserves health insurance, and that 68,000 people die every year. You got Cenk screaming and yelling. I posted a video this week on Twitter.
It's like
about empathy, about how much you're supposed to care. And I worked for the guy, and I got zero health insurance. And now here's where it gets really it goes from being like, oh my God, that's really bad, to holy crap, these people needed the union bad. I finally get a meeting with HR. Not that I was begging every day for a meeting, because you can only whine so much about it. You can only make a stink so much, right? You got a lot of times you just put your head down, go home and deal with your autistic anxiety spin outs. And like, so I finally get a chance to talk to HR, and now we're in May of 2019. And I was like, I just expressed my concerns for both the company and myself. It was a weird, stressful burden on me for all kinds of reasons. I don't necessarily think I need to explain it, but like, why the hell did I have to deal with this extra stress? I'm already giving you my labor. You're already getting really good video editing for cheap as hell. I was paid less than every other editor in the company, even though I was classified as an independent contractor, which meant I had to pay more in taxes and like the other editors with whom I worked, they got benefits.
They weren't.
So their hourly rates were low, close. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
You said they weren't independent contractors.
They weren't. No, right. And guess what else they were? Lefties.
Yeah.
Like if like this is also part of like the kind of like befuddling nature of Cenk is like, the stupid fucking idiot hires lefties, treats them like shit. They unionize, and then he's surprised. like, dude, you don't want a union? Go be the Daily Wire, you dumb asshole.
Yeah.
Sorry for the name calling.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
John, I might get sued. So just let me get this out.
Yeah, it's okay.
I pull back. I don't. I think he's a dumb motherfucker, not a dumb asshole. Just to retract and clarify.
He has a big...
My lawyer's Barbara Streisand, so bring it up.
Yeah, your lawyer.
I don't want to do the name calling, though. I feel like that'll end up getting
understandable.
He's called names. Lance from the Surf says I'm a Nazi. Like, what the fuck is that about? What a jagoff. Who says that?
Like, he calls names, but like when it's thrown at him, he feels hurt. Which okay, got it.
I called you a motherfucker earlier, so it's
and I laugh at it. I laugh at it. I know how to laugh at it. Like I said, I have a wicked sense of humor. I have my sensitivities, but I also I know when to take a laugh and have a joke.
Of course.
Laugh and take a joke.
But it is hilarious that Cenk didn't realize like that he treated people in a way. First, he tells the camera that unions are important. Yeah. There's a really great video that the MPEG 700 Twitter account, that's the Motion Picture Editors Guild, that I would have joined, the Hollywood Professional Editors Guild. They produce this during the union busting to help fight back. It's this like montage. It's in the film, actually. It's in the middle chunk. Not the entire bit, but some of it. And it's all this like, you got to bring in you don't have collective bargaining. Your boss isn't going to give you a raise. And Cenk going on and on about unions. And as the letter hacks asked me and said so succinctly in in the interview, who talked about the unionizing at the Young Turks? It was Cenk, right? He's the one that brought it up. Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's not like anybody else was talking about it over the years. It was him. And then he treats people in a way where a union is absolutely required. And then it comes forward and he's stunned. Like, I do believe they were surprised. I do think, as much as they would have had all kinds of reasons to not be surprised, it does seem like they were flat-footed when it came out.
Yeah.
And actually, just a plug for, I went on Dan from the Internet show, and he and I had a nice long 3-hour conversation. So I just want to send some people there for some really good, juicy stuff, by the way, that I'm not going to share on here either.
I actually interviewed Dan earlier this year. He had his own stories to tell about TYT and specifically Jimmy Dore and his time at Aggressive Progressive, where he walked on the set, because I guess it's Progressive and the main show. It was all the shows were done on the same set. As watching from as an outsider, and I think it was him and Steve-O and Jimmy Dore. And maybe Dave Kohler, I might have to go back and watch, but he walks on set, and Jimmy Dore, from what Dan told me, looked at him shocked and said, "Oh God, scary black man." And I literally he told me this in the podcast interview I did to him, I did with him. So you can go back and watch that interview and. Definitely, I'm sure Dan would confirm, what happened. And my reaction was shock. It was just like, wow, that's the environment that TYT put up with. I mean, it's like if I were, I don't know how high up all of you were, like you and Dan and Francis and Brooke Thomas and whoever else was there, But I imagine if like you were able to go to Cenk or to Anna at that time and say, hey, you know, Jimmy was being this kind of person, you know, I don't think Cenk in particular would have taken it seriously. You know, he probably
I don't
think,
know.
oh,
Yeah, that
Jimmy's
one
just my
particularly.
friend, and
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I hope Dan doesn't get mad at me though. I mean, just was.
Did he say it on the air in your interview?
Yeah, he said it on the air. He told me on air, and I was like literally shocked. And actually, if you're watching on Twitch, there's a clip of it that was Vidingale, my friend and former TYT mod, clipped it out and put it on Twitch, so it's up there. Yeah, that shocked me. I was just like, man, that racism in a lot of ways. I mean, I just can't believe that's also people put up with that shit, man. I mean, that just an environment that even Anna, like back when all those old blogs had come out about Cenk during the Justice Democrats era, how Anna kind of played all that down. And it's like, and then it came up later during his congressional run. And, it's.
Yep. They sort of condense it down to Cenk was trying to be Howard Stern. That's sort of their, if you know, like referring back to the film, but like we get into some of that sexist stuff because it's relevant to Cenk's campaign in running for Congress. Because if people don't remember, Bernie Sanders was ascendant and he was showing a lot of promise he'd already done it in 2016. So his run in 2020 was really important for people. And he endorsed Cenk, which is a huge deal. And that brought I just imagine the eye of Sauron, but just this huge spotlight follows presidential campaigns around. I got to actually go on a Bernie Sanders motorcade with Jimmy when we went to a Bernie rally, and it's really weird. It's like you were at the airport waiting for the plane to show up, and then there's a bunch of, it's not like super heavy security because the candidate's not there yet, but then like the plane lands, Bernie comes bouncing out. He does several cartwheels. He scatters flowers and butterflies out of his fingers. He bounces around. It's absolutely crazy. He does a head spin, and he twirls his feet. He starts tap dancing. No, I'm joking. But they come down this thing, and all this press, all these people pour out. Everybody piles into these vehicles. They have these huge white vans. And all these like exhausted reporters. Like being a field candidate, like a reporter, it's pricey too. Like the media companies have to spend a ton of money because they're getting billed by the hour for the travel and for the security and for their equipment. And TYT justified that because we were covering a presidential campaign. And this is like 2016 era. It was super cool though to be in a motorcade. Like they close off the highways. It's like a vehicle, chain of like 8 vehicles. We were in some white van with a bunch of journalists, that were just tired. And so because we met them in California, they just flown in from Puerto Rico, and then we go to the rally, and it's a long, tiring work too. So that was a really interesting experience. Why did I go off on that? But so in 2020, Bernie's campaign, if you've seen the film, they endorsed Cenk. This is all in the first big piece of the movie, and those all that old stuff came flying back out, and it's very easy to find. They didn't have anywhere close to all of it, even though it seemed like they did. There was one person putting out this long Twitter thread that became part of some of the defensiveness, and I mean that in a justifiable sense, because Anna took on a role as the film shows, that she accepted 100% editorial responsibility for the company, because Cenk, for campaign and ethical reasons, they assigned to themselves a high standard to show how upstanding, ethically conscientious they are and appropriate they are, that it would be inappropriate for him to have influence over his business decisions or over editorial decisions at the company while he's a candidate. It's a unique kind of thing for a media owner to be a politician, as is shown in the video. There was some issue with Michael Bloomberg, forbidding Bloomberg reporters from publishing on him. And, Bloomberg and Cenk are both media titans, so it's important. Steve Forbes was a media owner and a politician back in the 90s and stuff. And he had a little spat for writing some columns while he was running. So that was like a controversy that's flared off in the 90s. I'm sure if I did a deeper look, I'd find other examples, but it's not that common that it's a media owner. Although these days, every politician, I don't know about every, but like they do podcasts and other stuff. So
because they gotta keep themselves relevant. And they gotta make their money.
Yeah. Anyway, so because of that old sexist stuff, though, Bernie unendorsed within 24 hours, and it's a really interesting moment in the campaign. What's interesting? Yeah, go ahead. No, sorry.
I was gonna say, it's like they, I think it was John Iadarola, like when he was a candidate, back in 2019 when he went on the Damage Report and they interviewed him, and that was brought up that Bernie unendorsed him because of this, and it's just like, it was interesting because like Bernie had to go.
Sorry, wait. Say what you just said again. I did look at my phone and I lost my focus. Did someone talk about that?
Oh, well, I remember like Cenk went on as a candidate for when he was still running for Congress.
Yeah.
John Iadarola interviewed him on Damage Report, and I think Bernie, like Ro Khanna, was interviewed by CNN.
Yeah, that's in the movie.
They were just bringing up all this stuff that Cenk was saying in the blogs, and it's like, oh, Bernie unendorsed Cenk Uygur for the California, was it the 25th district?
Mm-hmm.
And it got real heavy real quick, and also they brought up it because this is also in the movie, and this is where you touch on like the intellectual, what do you call it, the dark, I don't want to say IDW, but it's EDW. Not like that EDW, about like the David Duke stuff and all that bad stuff, because Cenk interviewed David Duke back in 2016. We won't go into that because for the people who have watched the documentary or have watched the first part of the documentary, they will of your documentary they would have seen it. Actually, we kind of went off. We went off there again. You mentioned that Mike from Humanist Report.
Your
documentary, and he actually had some. He had some.
Yeah, that's a great. I'm glad you remember that. I'd been like, I kept hit that piece in the film because I believed I could defend it, right? So I kind of could tell, like, and I didn't know him well when I was editing it in the first like year or whatever. But then I started watching Leftist Mafia and watching some of his clips and his episodes, and I knew that there was those TYT's orbiters, within the TYT sphere, and he was one of those. And TYT had tried to be an MCN for a time. I think Majority Report was under that.
He was, he was an MCN.
A few of the others. Yeah. So, but anyway, my point being though that I came to respect Mike as a commentator and see him on Leftist Mafia and stuff, and he seems like a nice guy and all that. And so I was a little hesitant about how he might be perceived in the film. And actually, some of the first responses someone posted on Reddit, like after I published it, like in the first month, that like there's this documentary that takes shots at Mike and takes shots at Hassan, and a couple of people left a comment of on my channel because I had plugged it on their shows. I gave them a few super chats, just say check it out. Yeah, they don't do what Vanguard does, which is pay a lot of attention to the super chats unless it triggers them into a conversation. So they moved on pretty fast. But a few people came by. Promoting a movie is not my skill, and I'm as good at editing as I am bad at promoting. So like my ask for people in the not to get to the plug, the request for help section is that I just need help promoting. I mean, I need money. Honestly, too. I need both money and promoting, but like I don't need editing help. Is my point. I got that covered. But anyway, long story short, Mike, because of this week, it blew up, and Mike followed me. Mike from PA followed me. Humanist Report followed me, and like a lot of people who have possibly could be really interested in the film and might want to share it with their audiences. So I'm seeing so much more activity than I've ever seen on my Twitter. It's really fantastic and overwhelming. And then on the Leftist Mafia, he said he watched it and he brought up that he's described it as had some criticisms of him, and he owned up to that I was right, and that and that he said like he kind of explained it, and it was really interesting that he said that the way he summarized the story that he was like, I believe that the thing Cenk said that the DNC had done the psyop to like mess, and so he kind of admitted, but I wasn't trying to call him out necessarily, because it's the movie is not about the responsibility of those who were tricked. The movie is about the responsibility of the person with the most power, which is Cenk, right? So but I was sort of anticipating and I'm always open to the possibility that I misread, that I, you know, my autistic hyper brain does pick up on things. I am very, like, I do have a very good read on humans because I've been studying them in order to not be noticed my entire life. And so I'm like confident in that side of it, because you know, humans are one of my special interests, but it's always possible I missed it and I whiffed, and I might have not that Mike would have like gone to war against me, but it could have been like a defensive response, or it might have been his audience doesn't. But he was so gracious, and he had nice things to say about the movie. The way he described it, I was thrilled. So I felt it really was nice to see that, honestly, because it was one of those things I've been stressing about, just because I'm like, well, and also I had mapped his arc, because the movie is designed to be consumed as like a 2-hour movie. Like when I finally get the full thing done, it's currently 84 minutes, or maybe not 2, but you know, like a feature, 90 to 2 hours,
like a Michael Moore type of feature thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And man, wouldn't it be awesome to get Michael Moore to be like, hey, this guy's making a movie just like I did Roger and Me, and now there's Tell the Truth, Cenk. Like
that is
I want people, I like, not that I think I'm the next Michael Moore, but like I'm hoping it's looked at in that tradition of this like corporate call out. The name of the CEO is in the title. It's kind of ballsy. You know, go ahead.
Do it again. Do it again. The Michael Moore impression.
Oh, do you want me to put on a condom? Should I? Let's have this. Is that what? That? This is very nice. Oh, I love a nice throw rug. It's lovely. You could use a throw rug as a blanket. It's not very cool.
Mila asked in the chat, I don't know if you saw, where do we find the film?
So, go ahead.
Well, it's Winners and Losers YouTube channel. I think I can. Give me one moment. I can probably drop it in the chat for.
Yeah, it's just like on screen. Actually, if you do youtube.com/@winner. Oh, actually, winner loser. I gotta get that Twitter. I don't really use the Winners and Losers Twitter anymore, but it's fine that it's on there.
Okay,
I'll probably do like a final post on it before I stop that account.
Delete it. Yeah.
It's not like you messed up. I have it on my graphics and stuff. It's probably, I need to get rid of that. But it's Winners and Losers on YouTube. The movie's called Tell the Truth, Cenk. There's a playlist. I usually say just go to the playlist section. There's one that shows the 2 pieces of the film. It's a big TYT logo. It says Tell the Truth, Cenk. And then there's also TYT related videos, which are clips from me rambling about it on my podcast. It's, you know, depending on my mood, it's pretty much about like how this has gone so far. Hopefully, you know, people find me through this project, but also want to support the rest of my work and see some of the other stuff. I've been grinding things out for quite a long time, but very inconsistent and very, you know, so, anyway, give me a look, kick the tires, see what you think.
Yeah.
But the TYT related videos, just a rec. Like and subscribe. There's a video in there called, it's Cenk answering a phone call, or, you know, taking calls, and then Hansi, who calls into the Matt Binder program, he confronted Cenk and asked him if he's a union buster, and Cenk lies. Cenk says, "No, I'm definitely not a union buster." So look for the green text. It's near the it's on the TYT related videos playlist.
I saw that.
It's like 2 hours
of it. The
I need to make like a 5-minute version. I'm way too. It's a very deep dive into all the, not literally all, but like this huge pile of. It's so wild that he is denying being a union. Like I don't know why he's denying it, because these not denying it, you know, that like kicks.
He doesn't want to tell the truth. That's why.
Exactly.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to tell the truth. Tell the truth, Cenk. I'm in your head now, Cenk. Tell the truth.
Yeah, the truth. Hoss by TYT, make it a co-op. By TYT, make it a co-op. This is you talking for your dreams. Hoss by TYT, make it a co-op. Buy it. Buy it. Buy it. My favorite part of the movie. Favorite part of the movie is that little that little Hoss.
We try.
Yeah.
Haas needs to. Let me say this about Haas. I don't know when it'll happen, but it has to happen. It'll be I was gonna use a stupid term. The people who started this union are his literal work foundation. Like when we talk about nepotism, what that means is that Haas had access to media companies' gear and the humans and the creative professionals who brought talent to that company, who brought time, talent, and labor. So like, and myself included to a small degree, one of the people was his primary editor. I have a side quest. I think Haas should pay that person a huge percentage because their labor produced his wealth. Their labor was the foundation for his success, because without their effort, their disrespected, underappreciated effort that this person put in. Y'all saw the thing of Haas talking about his working conditions, right? So if you can imagine how badly Cenk treats his own workers, or sorry, his own family.
Yeah,
imagine
the shit that he treats his own nephew. I mean,
yeah, that's that Chuckle Sandwich podcast clip where I posted up that it finally went big. I saw that and I was like, this has to be everywhere, but I'll just tell people that haven't seen it. Haas says that his uncle skirted labor regulations, that his first year's salary was $21,000, and that Will Neff then pipes up and like kind of points it out, and Haas says, yeah, that's it. Is that when he worked up in ad sales, because he did a lot of these like ad sales thing. Not a fun job selling, talking people into ads. Especially if you're not like down bad for it and it's your whole deal. Like that's not an easy thing to do when you don't want to do that. He was doing it for his uncle's media company, but then that they would steal the sales commissions from him, and that's on this Chuckle Sandwich podcast. So my point being though that actually there was a little confusion I saw in the leftist mafia, and not to like correct them, but just that that was only his first year salary. I don't think he got 21,000 every year after that. That it seemed like they thought that he had only been paid that every year. I think it was just his first year. Point being, though, that this guy is, and he knows me. He used to come up to me and talk about stand up and stuff. And I ran into him once doing Postmates at a restaurant. I was working. He's got decent energy. He was nice. He's not like he doesn't have like snobby energy about him. I'm sure being famous these days, he probably has to be guarded about the way people approach him and stuff. And his head is actually above average. I want people to know he just has massive shoulders. The slider on his shoulders is all the way up. He has a normal size. It's not even normal. He has a big head. Like it's just like his shoulders are just screwball big. So it's relativity, it's just like the way you'd look small next to the moon. And I just want his support for the film. I think that it's because it's about if he's going to ever have an opportunity to express and to show and to model socialist principles and solidarity, if he can't find a word to try to tell the honest story about the union that was formed by the literal people who created the foundation for his success. Not to discount all hard work he put in. I know he definitely put in those long days. I know he's posted about that. He deserves respect, and that's part of the story as well. But it was because of the labor that these people performed that those Facebook videos did well enough that he had an audience upon which to launch his Twitch aspirations. Right. So show up. Show some solidarity. And I do think it'll happen. I'm not like calling him out for not doing it. It's impossible to get through the chatter. In fact, sorry to just keep rambling.
No,
on Thanksgiving, if you go, it'll be really hard to spot because that freaking chat is insane.
Yeah,
but, like
his chat literally just goes too fast,
like
way too fast.
He pauses it and like highlights something or whatever. I don't. But I was tweeting constantly during that about or not tweeting. On Twitch, sending chats saying, "Hey, Hasanabi, ask him why he didn't tell his audience the truth about the union bus." Like I was so if you go through there, you probably will be able to spot some of them if you feel like you want to torture yourself and pause Thanksgiving.
It's just so literally like excruciating. It's just like what, like, dude, just kind of slow your chat down a little bit, can you?
There's probably ways of like I don't know.
Yeah.
But my point is though that I hope that happens, and I do believe that at some point it's going to reach his desk. I think. How could it not? I couldn't find his phone. I used to text him when I was editing his videos and shit in 2019 because he would be on Twitch and we would need his like feedback from how because he'd come in and film and we would have a script, and it was also his job to like do the transcript accurately, and like we had to like communicate a little bit, but I couldn't find it. Otherwise, I would definitely text him.
You just be text him like, "Hey Haas, I got this documentary. I did this really great documentary about your uncle's, union busting and the anti-union efforts that he, did at the network that you and I both know. And will you talk about it on your Twitch stream?
And do you want a cat?
And do you want it? Yeah.
Please take this cat off my hands. But no, that story now finally has a happy ending.
So I guess the next thing I wanted to kind of bring up was like your experience. I'm going to kind of condense some of these comments because I tend to do that. And I also want to like preface if anyone wants to ask Hank any questions in the chat, by all means, go right ahead. Just
lavender.
Throwing that out there. Just
lavender is my favorite color. But let me just like kind of push a little bit the story, because there's a critical moment that, like I said, brings it from, wow, you were getting screwed with that independent contractor, to like, oh, this was bad. This should be a movie now. I asked for help at that meeting. I remember I said, please fix this. I feel like I deserve health insurance working at the home of progressives for doing full-time video editing. Instead of fixing it, they a week after that, they hired me again and brought me into the company now as an employee, but I was labeled a part-time temporary employee. Okay. Right. So part-time temporary means no benefits. I didn't have to do invoices anymore. I was no longer 1099, but now I'm a W-2 working for the company, 40-hour weeks. And also on my Substack, I have proof right there. You just posted it. I have proof that shows that. Yeah, I have proof that shows that their threshold for part-time consideration is 30 hours. Most companies are probably like 30, 32, 28, maybe, like it's usually around 30. I don't have every every Gusto record posted, but I have samples and I have a summary sheet of it all. I worked 40-hour weeks while I was called part-time for zero benefits, right? Like I said, there was 20 days during this 12-month period. And I decided to start to wake up the union right around the time of that meeting. When they did the part-time temporary, like this now it's like really? Like you could have said, oh, dude, you called us out, but you know what? We'll pretend like it was a mistake. We'll fix it.
Yeah. Here's some benefits.
For help. We don't want to. You're right. Actually, it does make sense that we could, by giving you the holidays that we didn't give you, by giving you some healthcare money that we didn't give you, by giving you some, including you in the proper bonus for the whole year. Let's give Hank a big check, give him a $25 gift card to Starbucks, so we feel bad for putting him through this mistake. Oops, our bad. Even if they were insincere, okay, fine. As I wrote on Substack, I would have let that skeleton stay buried. But they didn't do that. They messed with the classification. They called me part-time while I'm working full-time, and I'm starting a union now, right? So that's when, and the other people, I'm not quiet. Like they picked the wrong guy, right? So like, I'm like, okay, well, I guess wrong
guy to mess with, basically.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be on my grave.
Yeah. I also wanted to answer this question from Looney Tunes. I knew that Anna came out of CBS. I knew that she worked as a producer, and apparently by her own admission, she did not like it. And it's kind of weird now.
I've heard her tell that story. I wouldn't label that. I mean, yes, CBS is corporate, but she was 21 years old, or she was just out of college or something like that's. And it's, you're looking for an internship site. From what I heard, there's CBS. I think it was a radio show or something. It might have been local.
It was CBS radio.
I wouldn't like label her a former corporate because of that. You could get pedantic and say, yeah, that's corporate, but like it was when you're 21 years old or something, you're not, you don't know. Her better alternative was this weird show she had never heard of, where she had to step over dog poo in the stairs to get to it. That's a story that she tells all the time.
So
like, it's not like,
apparently it was human shit. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. No, apparently by her admission, it was human. It was human shit.
It was Dave Kohlers.
And it was at 3 a.m.
If we could consider him human.
Yeah, it was, and she had to do it at 3 she had to do the show at 3 a.m. at that rusty old studio on, I think it was Wilshire Boulevard. with like stinky old sewage leaking from.
That's the era where Cenk would talk about his busted up old car and eating McDonald's and being poor and that kind of stuff, which is also sort of why in the movie I have that sequence where the caller calls up and says, "You guys are the elites," and Cenk goes, "Yeah, we're fake broke. My dad would help me." Let me just clarify about Dave Kohler. I was close buddies with Dave, so that's why I say if he's human, he would probably smile at that. I wonder where his brain is on this. I bet he's proud of me. We were really we would play tennis. I went to his house a bunch of times. I helped him build a thing at his house that he needed. I love Dave. Honestly, I really miss Dave. I used to go to the mailbox with him. We'd open up, we'd get the mail. We'd go, out to eat. I miss Dave a ton. I'd be fascinated to see what he thinks about this. And Dave, you should come forward, motherfucker, because you know what happened.
I should. A lot of these people should come forward.
We're the freedom. We're the Freedom Honesty Company. Francesca said the other day. Sorry, Franny said the other day she's scared for her job on Damage Report. I'm going to play it on my episode this week.
Yeah,
good for her for saying that though. But she was stressing. She's been stressing about this for
she's been really. I think a lot of people over there are just really on pins and needles because of everything that Anna and Cenk are doing. And I've also
that annoying Hank.
That annoying Cenk, I know. Yeah, Hank. Your name sounds so familiar. I'm actually happy that I can actually differentiate the names.
Ben Mankiewicz, Cenk and I it would have been the Hank, Cenk, and Mank show.
I'm also aware Mila of David Schuster. I remember
he was like an MSNBC host. You could call that corporate. Yeah, that's fine.
He was definitely MSNBC. I remember I know because I'm having a memory of when I saw a clip of David Schuster when he was at MSNBC saying that Chelsea Clinton was quote unquote pimped out by her parents. That's a quote that you can find on the internet. I'm not just saying that. And also Mila also asks, "Hey, do you have anything to say about David Schuster?"
Not especially. I didn't watch a ton of Rebel HQ. From what I've seen, he's very professional in his presentation. I know he's hosted the main show, along with as the presenter role a few times, and he's good at that. He's got chops, but in terms of the story and how it connects to my slices of this pie, it doesn't really intersect. But David Schuster should support and help fund a film to help tell the truth if he wants to help burnish the credibility of maybe I'm saying he's probably got enough money to throw $5 on Patreon. I'd love to have I'd welcome anybody who's interested in correcting the record and upholding journalistic standards and upholding some journalistic ethics. So maybe I don't know. But
which also brings me to the question, because when we talked when we were on Discord talking privately when setting this up, you mentioned
not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. Those aren't secret as much as now that it's all out in the open.
Not my love letters, John. No. Oh boy.
You mentioned reaching out to some journalists, some journalist people in independent left media to kind of also get this going, as well as doing the fundraising. How do you let me how am I going to say this question? How do you plan to go about that? Because there's a lot of
I think I don't know.
I mean, there's a good answer there.
I tend to be too verbose in my emails, right? I'll go long, but people really just want you to get to the point when you send an inquiry that they've never heard before. So I do plan on I'd love to I've written up a thing, sort of a generic. I mean, I'm saying the same stuff a lot of times. It's not like I can write a brand new original thing every single time we talk about it. But I've got kind of a template thing I'm going to base it off of, the lever. I'm going to reach out to Ryan Grimm when they launched Dropsite News. Said something on his Twitter about doing labor justice or labor news, so I'm going to throw that out. There's a bunch of independent journalists too. I haven't gone directly. I've only emailed a couple, but not gotten anything back. I think the best thing would be a public relations person who knows how to do this and has experience in this type of thing. So that like I can focus on what I'm good at instead of like hope that I don't screw it up by sending out emails and stuff. So that's a tough one though, you know, like it's not like I have that background or that history. But it could also just happen organically. Somebody might pick it up via the honestly, the attention that this week I've gotten like 500 new followers on Twitter. A lot of people are in the story. It took me 15 years to get it to like 1,800, and it's only ever been just like tapering down. So now it's like at 2,300 or something, which is pretty cool. Maybe somebody will reach out and show some interest there. I think there's like, I know this is going to sound gross, but like no one's going to write a story if they're not going to get paid or make some money selling it. That's what media functions. That's kind of how media functions. There are some not-for-profit activist type media, but unfortunately we could use, there's not enough of those. The world needs far more local news. The news has been decimated. Like, so yeah, it is. I'm not saying that all journalists are like motivated by greed or money, but they're not going to do it if it's not a story. But this clearly seems like a story. This clearly seems like an interesting thing, and it might be centered around my story or the union. I think on its own, that's all enough for a story. Cenk lying about being a union buster. How is that not on Mediaite already? Right?
Yeah.
Like, Cenk saying Hassan saying that Cenk stole ad sales from him. How is that not on Mediaite? Like, some of these things on their own should qualify as a media story. But on the overall though, like the Mondale quitting and the TYT rightward shift and the attention that Cenk and Anna are cultivating from the right and all this stuff, there's a whole bunch going on, and it's very right now. It's very kinetic too. Like I honestly, you were saying that you think John, and I mean, there's a chance people might leave TYT like tomorrow or this week. Like, I don't think that'll happen. I'd be kind of surprised, but I think actually, like, back to the question about John, like John could easily pull a huge audience away to a Patreon show that he is like, I don't know why you wouldn't. I know that there's health insurance and stuff, but if I could make like 10K a month doing like 2 audio only episodes on Patreon or something like that to keep it really simple. I tend to overshoot the complexity, so I burn myself out. That's one of my problems, but you know, John could probably do something like that, or Anna with Substack, and like, you know, it would be big news.
Yeah, she's already doing that with Substack, and and calling us mods out, and I'm just like,
you were the voluntary workers. I want to ask you guys about the mods if we have time before we. Not that I'm trying to end the show, but let's make sure we talk about.
I'd love to talk about that. I wish that one of the former mods a couple of them were in this chat with me now, but then they can chime in, because there was a lot of us that this was, I mean, it was in Sandy Lovis's words, you know, it was not easy cutting ties at times with a organization that we, you know, basically looked up to. But we knew that at the end of the day it was the right thing to do, and I have no regrets at all. Period.
I've also enjoyed and gotten a lot of you know, solace and information from Sandy's experience on Left of the Box too. Like you know, her sharing about the you know, situation has informed this whole thing, as well as the mods and Jeff Wiggins leaving, Bonnie going,
Bonnie going,
but like the mods was a big moment in it too. I wasn't surprised to see that. You know, I think you guys were toiling in obscurity. Nobody really. It would have been nice if Cenk and Dana said thanks to the mods. Did you guys feel like? I know you all didn't sign up at one. It's not like you all show up in the same, you know, bus, the same extended golf cart. But like, what was it like? Give me, or when did you start? When did you like? How did that even work? You just answered a call.
So for me, well, from my perspective, this was during the pandemic. So January of 2021, or July of 2021. Let's kind of push a few months. I was in the Discord, in the TYT Discord. I, you know, was, you know, basically watching TYT on Roku for about a year. You know, got involved with Discord because I was in college at the time, and my journalism professor, journalism J school professor used Discord, so introduced the group to Discord. And then one night I was watching TYT and they advertised they had a Discord. So I joined into that and I met a lot of the former mods. I met Adrian Vixen. I met Barkeeter J. One guy his name was Kyle, who was also autistic. And of course Barkeeter J and also Adrian themselves were also autistic. And so we just started talking for a couple nights and we started talking about modding and what that was. And I had actually already been a mod for several left-wing shows already, so I already had a Blue Wrench ahead of time. But then they were talking about modding for TYT, and for me that was like, well, I want to do that. Okay, that's what I want to do, because I kept just having conversations and basically it's like at the end of the day it's like, oh yeah, you seem like, or I seem like a great fit, because those conversations led to somewhere. And I was given application to online to fill out, and then fast forward a year later, because my life got busy. Yep. And then I had that in mind, and so I applied. I tried again in November 2022. I applied, and by this point, the walls had started to crumble around TYT, around the main show. So when I came in, when I was expected that, hey, things aren't really going the way we want them to, as far as like we're the main show with all the editorial stuff, with the anti-homeless stuff that Anna was already going down, and but I built a rapport with the other mods in Discord. So I became friends with them for about a year, and it's just like, I want to try this. And so for what it's worth, I applied, and I had a Discord meeting with Allison Hartson in December of 2022, and they all had meetings and was basically trained ahead of time. And
so there was already a pipeline there was already a mod team assembled. They had been using people's labor like on a more formal kind of basis, because they had to start at some point. Do you know when that kind of kicked in, like originally, when it became a bit more of like something that had a dedicated manager? That, just curious. Super. And
I'm thinking, well, I mean, there was a thing. Well, there was also, and Mila, there was not a union for mods, unfortunately. There is not and was not for the mods. And just letting you know, I saw the question. So yeah, no, there is no mod union as far as I know. Well, I mean, the mods, like they had been trying to get paid, basically, like the pay the mods thing. That had been, well aware before as I prepared to join, and I was told all of this ahead of time by Adrian Vixen, and they basically, kind of gave me the rundown of how things were and a lot of the drama stuff that was going down. But yeah, I mean, it is, yeah. And so, yeah, I applied in December 2022 or November of 22. Got a Discord meeting with Allison Hartson in December 2022. Waited for 3 months, or no, 2.5, and then finally became a mod in March of 2023, and then started, because that was like I decided to use March of 2023 as my training month, because they gave us that option to kind of learn the system. And then I officially started in April of 23. So yeah, so I was there so about, I'd say 4.5 months. I say 3, but it could be 4.5. And then
you joined some of the mods were already like 2, 3, 4 plus years. Like
they were all 3. There was like 3 years. Most of them had started in like 2020. So they started during the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like again, if you watch the letter hack when mods resign. It pretty much tells
Watched
you
it 3 times. Yes, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know. They started,
Yeah.
before I did, and but by that point, it just didn't get it got toxic basically, and we would have conversations about in the months leading up, like the 3 months leading up to us resigning, and then Bonnie quitting when she put out that video on her channel saying I'm done with TYT. That was also a catalyst for us to leave, because we were having just conversations outside of TYT on what to do. And then finally in July of 23 of last year, we all had sort of a meeting of the minds, if you will, and one of the mods who's not here
On
in the
your, can I
chat,
ask you, on your own Discord, you guys, so you obviously are using a separate,
we had a separate private Discord
non-surveilled, right.
we had
Yeah.
we had like a separate private Discord from TYT to kind of go and just hang and whatnot, which still exists, by the way. And so we had one of the mods who's not here in chat, but Forbezilla did a thing. She put out an audio message for everybody that I still remember, was that if we left that Friday before the main show, we would give a lot of people something to talk about over the weekend, versus waiting until Monday when the news cycle has moved on and Bonnie has left already. See, even I have, I still have to remember that.
That's okay.
I still have to remember that Bonnie has left. They're gone. And people will just move on. They won't think anymore. And so that Friday, I think it was July 10th, before the main show, we got a letter. We all decided, we're all leaving. We're done. We're not going to mod for them anymore. Their position is obviously clear. Forbezilla came up with the letter, and we all signed it. As Addie says in the chat, Forbes penned the letter. It was her writing. We all add our names to it, and we put it out there publicly, and the rest is history. I will answer Mila's question. Why did you want to be a mod for TYT? I mean, this is actually the question I've been wanting for people to ask about this. Like, well, if you knew this about TYT, why did you want to be one? And the best answer I can give, Mila, is because I built a rapport with the other mods. We had been friends for, a long time. And as Smash says in response, it was a thing that we wanted to be a part of. And we had hoped that it would lead to something good. Vitingale, who was another former mod, had brought up this prospect of what they called pathway to employment, which would be like us, doing so well that we could hopefully move up the ladder from being moderators to, working for Rebel HQ. I was definitely down for that.
On air contributor.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And, and this was something before I joined. Vitingale had told me about it during like the first month of my my time as a mod, and I was like, wow, that sounds great.
Let me ask, was there any kind of indication from the company that either gave you a sense that was possible or that it wouldn't be like, did they sort of, and I'm not trying to like catch them on something, I'm just curious if they had a did they sort of tease you with that carrot to say like, well, this could lead to more, because they knew they weren't going to be writing you any money or any checks and no currency coming through.
No.
Or was that just sort of internally? I mean, I understand the same thing. I mean, I happened to end up at TYT through my early, parasocial like interest.
Right.
I actually, it's not like I was like, oh my God, Cenk, but it was more like I really, I'm into the show a lot, me and my buddy, and this and that. And I really care about money and politics. That seems insane. As I also, not to make it about me again, but like
no,
that time period though, and I look back at it, I'm like really embarrassed that I wasn't repulsed by how gross Cenk was about stuff. And I mean, we might revisit a little bit of that in the movie, but I guess what I'm saying is like, I relate to that sense that like, if I can just do something to help, I want to contribute. I think they do a good, like when they had TYT Army, they were recruiting people for Wolfpack and all those other things. And I think they were, drawing people who felt like they were willing to put in a lot of free time and free energy for a cause that they believed in, as well as helping the financial success of the company too. That's some thoughts I had there. But sorry, please resume.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't. I can answer. There wasn't really any indication that they wanted to go forward with that. As far from what Vidingale had told me, again, they're a former mod of the TYT YouTube side. I think it was brought up or pitched to Allison Hartson, or I don't know if it was specifically Allison. It may have been somewhere. It may have been somewhere within the mod community. So it probably would have been Allison, and it was turned down. But yeah,
that comment right there from Smash. That's interesting.
Yeah.
You should put that on screen.
Yeah, I got you got into trouble because you were starting a camp. Yeah, that was the one thing that, like I say, I do not at all fault Pitchforks Dragon for doing that. I actually commend him for actually starting that, because that was something that needed to, in my view, to happen, because we were moderators, but we are in a lot of us, like taking myself and my disability out of the picture, like a lot of the folks that modded had what we had as disabilities, but our income or financial situations were not the same, and a lot of people struggled worse off than others, if that makes sense. Allison Hartson, Mila, is who we're talking about. She's the mod coordinator for TYT. She's the one that like runs the mods, the mod on the TYT side.
She ran for office too, Cenk.
Yeah.
Candidate. I don't recall if it was rep or senate, but yeah.
I think it's senate. I don't think I remember. I don't think I know that. So, it was like the whole situation was just terrible, and we tried, and there was an effort to get them to at least give us something financially. And it wasn't like, and I said this in the mods resign episode with Letterhack, it's like it wasn't like we were asking for $1 million. It was like, can we just get some sort of income to pay our rent, pay for our medications, and put food on the table? Simple.
Doesn't seem like much to ask for. I have a question, but finish your thought.
Oh, that was my thought, basically.
Okay. All right. First, let me say this. I might include something about that in the film. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to promise it. I can't, like, the timeline. The timeline has to speak to me, and I haven't even edited it yet. So I'm not saying for sure, but I'm very, very strongly leaning into examining some of these events too, with the other contributors leaving, with Mondale doing it just now, I guess. Now that I'm saying it out loud, and your story, you guys, mods, that's a big one. And the way Letterhack presented it, and the way your letter writes it, is that it's about unpaid labor, right? It's about not getting properly compensated for lots of work. So I do have a request, not to say don't send it to me all right away, just seeding this to everybody who's listening that are mods. What I need is proof. Not that I doubt you all were mods, but like if there's any communications, emails you still have, paperwork, something that shows how much hours you are working, that's probably what I'm going to dial in on. I might tangentially touch into the politics of the reasoning for your departure and all that, but we're talking about this whole movie, and by that point, it's not. There's so many concepts flying through this thing. but I'm just saying that what would probably end up in the film, and don't stress this. I won't have this thing done till summer, so within the next 4 or 5 months. Because I assume you have some emails and probably some maybe chat records and stuff. So anything that I could use that visually shows, in addition to that corroborates, what you're saying, because part of our thing too is us saying when we started the union, but what really helps us tell that truth, affirm that is the emails that were sent to IATSE that were shown to the journalists that did the stories about the union busting, because those emails are, the evidence. Those are the more tangible type of thing. So I'm just asking. I assume there is. Don't give a look. I gotta bet there's something there. Next question though is kind of connected to that is how many hours a day was it? Like I think people sometimes think mod, because the internet notion is like, oh, you just hang out with your once a week for 2 or 3 hours, and you just hang out with your friends in your chat, and you get the one that. But you're actually doing a lot of emotional labor. You're following.
It was a real job.
It was basically. How many hours a week? Like kind of
for us, it was like 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So if you think of it that way, like literally an 8 or 9 hour job, and we all had schedules. There was a schedule of what we could do and how many shows we had to participate in, and I think because a lot of the shows, if you watch old school on that, especially at this time of night or this time of year, it Smash brings that up. That question there, Vitingale, 8 to 10 hours. So sometimes, it was regular. Yeah, it was like a real job, but we just weren't getting any. It was all unpaid. It was all, unpaid labor. But there were times where, and we would have meetings every first Monday of the month, and
if you didn't, so one way to assess, and I'm being a little picky only because and I'm not a lawyer, man. I don't have any, but there are these sort of critical kind of moments that are, but if you didn't, so did you get in trouble? Were you accountable to them?
No, I think
you'd probably, they'd eventually say, well, we don't need, you had to uphold a certain set of conditions by a more powerful party.
Well, I mean, if we couldn't do it, we just had to let Allison or somebody know, a fellow mod, that we weren't going to be able to be able to come in that day or do the work that day.
I see.
I did my best to. I actually did my best to get as much hours as possible. I think towards the end, it started to take a toll on me, and a lot of it had to do with the fact of how the main show was going. Here, let me put my mic up. So, a lot of it had to do with the fact how the main show was going, and that started to take a toll, and just the controversies that were going up and were going on, rather. Addie says something in chat. I remember being asked if I wanted a mod. Yeah, that was the kind of thing they would do. They would be like, yeah, we need to. It's like, yeah, we need all hands on deck, and it's like you ask for something or request something, and they either say no or there's a indifference,
right?
That kind of thing. But yeah, it was stressful at the end, and it was overwhelming. I wish, again, I intended to stay long term. I mean, that was my goal, but obviously things didn't work out the way that they did, and we all had to leave. and again, I have no regrets. I look back every day and know that I did the right thing. And the other thing is, from the positive aspect of this, I built a lot of friends out of this. Whatever parasocial friends, like, I'm now on several Discord servers with my former mod friends, so that's a plus.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and it's hard work. Like, you're focused. You have to pay attention to what they're saying and to the chat.
Yeah.
And you're also you're the the part of the space shuttle that flakes off when it hits the atmosphere. Like, you guys are the ones that see every bad part. All the stuff that the whole purpose of modding is that you protect the chat from all that rotten stuff. So you're seeing all kinds of hate coming through, and
there was a lot of that,
because like the political thing, it's not just like hanging out in some video game stream for 2 hours. And not to say that those mods aren't also doing work. I'm not trying to suggest, but like in the realm of modding, you're participating in a media company's profit-making activity that is going off to multiple distribution partners, including cable, including high-profile internet, and like, it's genuinely like it's really rotten to do that for zero money.
Yeah.
And not even t-shirts. Not to say that would make it appropriate, because you can't pay rent with a fucking shitty t-shirt. Sorry, I mean, swear. But I'm just like, I hate when like the printing is like stiff. Anyway.
Yeah, and it dries out.
Yeah. It gets flaky. But yeah, so it's hard that you guys had to, and good on you for stepping up the way you did and making a public stink about it.
Oh,
even
yeah.
though it's probably been frustrating. It doesn't get as much attention as you hope, but
and the other thing,
they didn't want that out, and they kicked you guys out. I'm trying to tell you tell you the story. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well, the other part of the story was we were trying to get a bunch of people in the left media space to read the letter on the air, and only you and Andrea Ravinsky were actually read the letter front to back, beginning to end. Like, people like Vanguard, and like, they showed the letter and talked about it, which, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. That was great, but it would have been a lot better if they'd actually took time to read the letter from beginning to end, to show like, hey, yeah, these mods, they were not respected by the quote unquote homo progressives. They were mistreated heavily and worked for nothing, and pretty much all of us, in one way or the other, had disabilities. And guess who showed up? Speaking of,
what?
Adrian Dixon's here, because they're also a former mod, and I know for a fact, speaking of, because now everybody's a mod, because they would have a lot to say about this, the subject of the mods quitting, and I hope that they stay around long enough to give their take, because
was there any communication from TYT after that day? That was an exciting day. If it's ever in the TV show, the 8 seasons, 13 episode seasons, there'll be a mod arc somewhere around season 4. But did TYT they withdrew your privileges, and then they just never said anything? Or did they send you an email or something?
It's interesting, because when the letter was publicly released, they, as quick as a flash, it was like, all our stuff was gone. Our wrenches were gone, our privileges were gone, our access to the mod side of the Discord was gone. Like, it literally within like minutes to seconds, everything was gone. Everything was taken away. But
you insubordinate, ungrateful.
But
how dare you?
Also, silent. I mean, they literally, and I'm throwing this up. This is what it was. It was literal silence, from TYT. Nothing. Not even like, and it's like the only time they ever even brought it up, especially like, for example, on the main show, was Cenk trying to when somebody actually, in the chat, in the TYT chat, brought up like what's like the mods who left, Cenk would just laugh it off as if it was a complete joke, as if it was something funny, and I'm still a year and a half later insulted by that.
Hey, I relate.
Just gonna say. And I will forever, I will hate, or I shouldn't say, I will forever dislike, have a lot of disdain for Cenk Uygur because of that.
Yeah.
I do not take him seriously.
I treat him with far more respect than he treated me by all infinite mile. You don't respect someone when they come to work for you and you call them part-time while they're working 40 hours and you're keeping their Labor Day money and you're keeping their holiday money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
As much as I come at him with the way I am, I show him so much respect because I'm showing good faith to their situation in the film, and I'm showing thoroughness and backing up my claims, and I aspire to, at least, and I know it's almost impossible, but I try to understand this perspective, or see things from different perspectives, partially for various reasons. I think it'll help burnishes my credibility. It also helps me avoid getting sued. It's also how I kind of function naturally. The way my integrity functions is I'm aware of ignorance gaps, and I'm seeking those out to place them. And I'm trying to, making a whole big stink about credibility, which means I have to really try to circle this thing and try to scan this situation from so many different angles and try to understand another perspective I don't agree with, and to try to be, because I think that's what good faith is. A sign of good faith is like being able to explain someone's perspective, even if you don't agree with it, in a way that they would agree. Like that's fair and accurate. They didn't offer us that, the workers unionizing. They didn't give us the benefit of the doubt. They didn't give us any grace. They didn't give us any respect. They went without fact checking straight to the public with their nonsense conspiracy, attacking our integrity and our intelligence in order to protect Cenk's political ambitions. Mm-hmm. Come on, right? Sorry, I made it about me, but
no, it's fine. That's actually on point. I mean, he was so into running for office in the congressional district that they really had to hide. They did their damn, dare I say, damnedest best to hide all that shit. And eventually it was going to come out in the open, and now that it is, they're all scrambling around trying to like figure out like, oh, this is like trying to figure out like, how to curb their behavior, so to speak. But it's not working. It's not working.
Yeah,
it's not. I mean, to think that Cenk would just try to sweep this under the rug. I mean, he's in way over. He's cooked. He and Anna both are fucking cooked.
Right.
Like, I don't see them seriously ever trying to redeem themselves out of this shit. And
from whose perspective does redemption come? That's the thing. It's like, I don't think they care about the people you're probably referring to as that. I think they are moving towards a different sensibilities about the sort of people they want approval from. So I don't know, but maybe
that.
I doubt it. But
for money, that's what Anna wants, because fucking I can answer that.
Which one?
Question, Mila. I forgot to go back and I forgot to go back and change the. I'll do it in the edit.
They'll fix it.
I'll fix it. There's always something. I always feel every time I do interviews, when I set everything up, I always feel like I did everything. There's something good, and then it's just like, oh, there's something else needs a myth. It's just like I feel like I need to write stuff down.
Well, this is why you need 75 employees. I mean, come on, like people do stuff by themselves, and
I'm a one-man band.
Yeah, there's so many ways to screw this.
I should advertise. I wish there was like a way, like a worker own. Well, I guess that's what GoFundMe as well. Sort of GoFundMe.
It's just human physics, man. There's just literally impossible to do anything without nothing's ever 100% perfect, no matter what. It doesn't even if everybody on.
It's like I go on the YouTube, I hit the go live on Restream, and I'm thinking everything's good. And then I see the title, and I'm sitting there like this going, and then I'm just kind of banging my head, not literally, but I'm just like that's what I'm doing, like literally. Like, Jesus Christ, I thought I had all this figured out, and now I have to go back and but it's fine.
That's fine.
Thanks, Adrian. I that's nice. But yeah, I mean, this really weird pivot. Let me see, pivot that I'm trying to make a hand gesture that, like the crash that.
What's the pivot hand gesture?
Rabbit hole. The pivot is like. That's the like going down the rabbit hole.
All right.
Of that Cenk and Anna are on. It's just, they're just going down there and they're crashing, and it's like they don't care. They don't give a damn anymore.
I bet they care. I mean, I'm not to argue with you, but I'm not. And this is not I feel sorry for them or something, but like I'm sure they're paying attention. I mean, I'm sure they care. Like
I'm pretty sure they'll watch this, and they won't. But if they watch this, they're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm not scared. Anna's blocked me on social media like everyone else, so it's like, the fuck you're gonna do?"
No, no, it's fine. It's a weird thing. I mean, I think they know that the thing that protects them is that the internet is filled with far more important things than me and you. And you know what I'm saying? Like there's major reasons why this stuff is salient and as powerful as it is, and I think as universal as these themes are. And I really hope that together people rally behind my project and that we can all make Cenk Uygur the face of union busting for the next 75 years. Like we need to educate the world about not just Cenk. I'm not saying that, but like my hope is that someone who's never seen or heard of the Young Turks watches it and it relates to some of it and is inspired to go start a union at their own workplace, or at least understands the because one thing I'm kind of learning too is this is starting to get out there, and this is it's really fascinating to like start talking to more people. And I think, unfortunately, I'm starting to worry this film is going to be successful, which means I'm going to have to talk about these fucking people more than I really want to.
Yeah.
Success is a curse, but of course
it is a curse.
But I'm able to still observe. What I'm hoping is I can watch people or sort of hear from people's stories about their own workplace issues or their own experience with like watching TYT. You know, Dan and I talked about that a little bit, like being such old timers going back to 08, 07, and then working early, like being around for so many different eras. A lot of people are like, I started in 2019 and I stopped in 2023. And I'm like, yeah, I was already 11 years in by 2019.
I'm actually at the same, the time I started watching TYT 2008, like even, like I said, even sooner before like the Jill Pike era.
Yeah. That's when I remember when Anna was new.
Yeah, when she, so I did Mila. I watched it this morning, and I was, I thought Pastor Ben Dixon made a really, he's based. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
In short form, I loved it. I retweeted it, like a lot of people did, and I think I retweeted the Mondale Robinson why he left TYT as well. So, yeah, it's yeah.
Can I ask Mila a question?
Absolutely.
Mila, I saw in the chat there said that they modded for David Feldman. I'm just curious. Does he know about the union story? I'm curious because he used to be on Jimmy a whole bunch. Unless there's a different David Feldman I don't know about. Or
I think we're thinking of the same David Feldman because I know what
the old guy who calls Sam Cedar sometimes. He used to call the
David.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm not. It's okay if he hasn't or something, but he's one of those guys.
It's funny. It's funny because David Feldman used to. I was going to say David Feldman. I hate to bring this guy up, but because he's a fucking Anna simp. Like David Feldman used to go and like give them an argument with Ben Burgess a few times, and You know, I hate to bring Ben Burgess' name up because Ben Burgess sucks. Well, he's a you know what. I think we feel the same way about him, and I regret having met him. I don't know. I'm gonna go on it. Here comes the rant. Let's just
loose,
say
John.
I'm gonna let loose. I'm gonna let loose.
Go ahead. Target with L2. Hold the Y button.
Yeah.
Go.
Here's the thing. So I got really pissed in the aftermath, like a week or so later, after we quit, the mods quit, after everything that Bonnie went through, everything that Sandy, all of us went through at TYT. The thing that pissed me off even more, and I say that it pissed me off, was the fact that Ben Burgess and his fucking cronies were sitting on his show talking shit about, why are you canceling Anna Kasparian? Why are you doing this? Why are people acting this way? And goes on. It's like you can find this fucking episode of this video of his where he fucking basically rambles for 30 fucking minutes or more, like 40 minutes about why people are quote unquote canceling fucking Anna Kasparian when it's fucking the total opposite. He doesn't let any of his guests talk. Any of his guests responds, and when somebody in his chat in his panel show tried to respond, he cut them off. And it's funny because he goes on fucking Twitter and makes a goddamn tweet thread about this. I got so pissed at this. I responded. I was like, this is not a good take, man. You're blinded by your fucking bandship. It's making you not see that TYT and David and Anna have been transphobic in their stances. And like he never responds. And like weeks later, he does the same thing. I'm like, Ben, you're missing the fucking point, dude. You're just not there. And then he tries to do it again. And finally, I was like, dude, just fucking stop. And then he blocked me on fucking Twitter. And the other thing that I have a problem with is a lot of these people, and I actually agree with Mila, I can't stand Ben Burgess either. So that makes two of us. And I think he sucks too. Is that he is still
weird, like, and I don't
coddled.
Yeah.
I actually think he sucks. I believe he's a fucking that's how I found out about how that's what changed my mind about Ben Burgess. Also, Mila was Andrea. He just fucking like he's still, for lack of a better term, coddled, but the fucking bro culture cis white guy left. And there's a lot of these people.
Yeah.
I know who they are. I fucking like I need to stop these 4-letter words.
I'm rubbing off on you, buddy. It's because we touched it.
This fucking
it's actually an eraser. I don't know why I'm using this.
Yeah.
Oh, you what? Okay.
Yeah.
I hope we don't get pregnant. Oh shit! Oh no! I'll drive. I'll drive. Let's get ice cream.
Yeah.
All right.
It's interesting. Like, and he's such a fucking. I'm gonna say I'm probably gonna get. You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I don't care if I get in trouble. I used to have a shirt that said, "I don't find trouble, trouble finds me." Literally, when I was in high school. So when I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble with doing
Did you lose the shirt?
online left me. Yeah. Well, not really. I mean, yeah, kind of, but I outgrew it.
No, you got it.
I was a freshman in high school. Long story. Yeah, I was much thinner back then. Not trying to like shame, weight shame. Yeah. Not trying to weight shame. I just think I was a bit thinner back then. Like, and then all of a sudden, like he moves clear because I think he lives somewhere in Portland, Oregon. He moves clear across to Los Angeles, California, where he's living now. And like, for whatever reason, one reason or another, we're still friends on Facebook, but we don't like interact at all. So his post would come up in my personal page and he would always say this shit. Like, this is why I moved to LA, because people are telling me I sold out. And like, I didn't sell out. I just wanted to move to LA to like go teach left philosophy over at, UCLA or something. And I'm sitting there thinking, You did not. This bullshit, dude. I see right through that. This is also kind of where I'm going. He wants to get closer to Anna Kasparian, basically. I
Okay.
know. She's married. If you get where I'm going, I got to be careful because if I say what really we want to say, I get in trouble.
I won't put this part in the film. I can promise you. And the next 20
this whole
minutes,
interview,
Burgess moving to Los Angeles. No, okay.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
like
he's got a media career, and he moved to a place where there's a lot of media. I don't think it's much more. I mean,
yeah. Well, it's just like the thing is, it's like he goes on TYT finally, and it's always Anna by herself. No Cenk, no John, no JR, no Jordan Yule, no nobody. It's just her by herself. I mean, it's like one of those solo shows like she does on Wednesday. It's just like I don't think this is a coincidence, really, because he's always with Anna being on the show with Ben as a guest, with Burgess as a guest.
Oh, has she had him on as a guest? I never noticed.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's been on a guest a few times, or I think one time.
Well, I think
yeah. I'm spilling a lot of tea.
Cook,
Milo. This is good,
baby. It's a tea store.
I'm cooking this motherfucker. I don't care. I don't care if he sees it. I don't care if he reaches out to me and bitches at me. What's he gonna do? What is he gonna do? Nothing. Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. That's the problem. That's the answer. He's gonna do nothing. What's he gonna do? Stick his fucking friends on me? Was he gonna stick his mutual friends on me? I don't care. I don't give a damn. I'm tired of this whole like blinded by fanship shit.
Well, get used to it. That's my thing though. Is I kind of just like I have my opinions about Ben Burgess. I'm not looking to beef with the guy. I first was introduced through the early Michael Brooks show days. I was an early supporter of Michael's, and because I met Michael in Jimmy Dore's house, in Jimmy Dore's garage. That's where I met Michael in person. I gave him a ride after the show when he appeared in 2016. It was and I was a listener of Majority Report of since like Air America, they off and on, but like definitely in like the teens and now. I'm so grateful that they're doing what they're doing, and Emma's willingness to mention the union busting is really what opened up the curtain about my story, because that's what drew a bunch of attention. The one tweet of mine that got 11,000 likes. My point being though that like Michael and David Griscom and Ben, I actually I gave Michael a ride to his sister's house from Jimmy's, and it was a privilege to know him in person. We would chat on DMs on Twitter. Went to his live show. I was going to go on a show. We never scheduled it, but we had kind of hinted because I had done a stand-up show that Dave Rubin performed on, and I was going to I was saving that story to go on and a show and just talk about it and to kind of joke about Dave Rubin and stuff. Point being, I sort of make space for people to. As frustrating as it is that they don't see things the way that you think they should and you want them to, whether he ever comes around or not that that's your goal. But I kind of just I can't summon the energy to be super upset. Not that I'm trying to say you're doing that. Your umbrage is righteous and it's entertaining, and it probably, I hope it feels good to let some of that fury out, right? So,
yeah, it's a lot of stuff I've been building up for 2 years.
It's emotional stuff. It's heavy stuff, But I see where that's going, and who knows? But the thing is, like, you just take any group of people, that's going to be a distribution of thresholds for which they can be persuaded towards something or away from something. And if you've got incentivized motives, this is kind of what the movie's about. This is also sort of what I call out Mike Figueredo for. It's not really calling out. It's sort of just showing the way they were
constructive criticism.
Not even that. It was more just like he had good reasons to not necessarily lean towards the workers' perspective, because he trusted the perspective from Cenk. And why wouldn't he? The point being that he was deceived. He might not have realized it, and maybe as I feel like it's probably end up on leftist mafia at some point, right? I feel like that's not. I don't want to just be like inviting myself, but I feel like Mike and I, or if maybe I'll have him on my show or something, or he'll would be like have a really interesting conversation. What the hell was I saying? Oh, like he had to only operate with the information he had available, and maybe he could have asked me what was actually true, and then he could have pushed the worker story if he believed me. that's a different timeline, you know. So I hope that doesn't seem like I'm trying to defend Ben. I'm just saying, like, the way I approach this sort of stuff is like I just see people's behavior as data, as information. And so clearly he and Anna, I know they have a personal connection because they've known each other in person. I think through those early like root forming years with Michael when she did the Jacobin show, right? When she was doing weekends on Jacobin. So I think there's some loyalty generated by that relationship. That's what's operating really there. And, you know,
I think
I don't want to invalidate your frustration. I'm not
no. That's also the good point as well, is that like that whole Jacobin community, I mean, they've really benefited from the fact that Anna was I say was because I don't even think she's on the left at this point anymore. Was like one of the big names of the left, and when she did the weekend show with Michael, they all kind of like circled around her. And that's a thing with David Griscom, is that we weren't talking every day, but you know, he's my age, we're the same birth year, and you know, he's been defending Anna and calling everybody who disagrees with her, calls her out, in his words, vampires. And that's, you know, that's sad. There's a sorry on my
That's
end.
All right. I can hear it.
Police siren. Okay. There's a siren outside.
Ben's coming for you.
No, Ben Burgess is coming for him. I better get down on my desk.
No.
I also want to bring this up. Mila asked again if you know who. I don't know. I saw that person was.
Never.
Will Ryan.
I don't know the name. No.
And that is, I'm sorry, also Mila, that because of the healthcare system. Yeah.
Oh. And I see Will Ryan, David Feldman, and Jimmy Dore worked together back in the day. Yeah, that's weird. That seems like but I didn't. You know, Jimmy has been in L.A. and Hollywood since like the 90s, early. Like he started in Chicago, I think, but he was at the time in the late boom of the 80s where it was. I don't mean this is to crap on Jimmy, but this is true of the era. It was like there was this. I know.
Okay to
believe
crap
me.
On him.
I co-hosted his show. I mean, I don't but I was on air sidekick with him. Trust me.
Editor,
I have a key to his house somewhere. Like not really, but like
big house with the extra sewage.
Yeah. No, I get it. No, yeah. He wasn't in that house. I don't know where their studio is nowadays though. But no, my point being though that Jimmy had a fairly long career as a stand-up comedian. Anybody who started around the time that he did, who could hold the microphone and make a joke into it, you know, because I know people hate, or people always love to say he's not funny. I disagree. I don't. He makes audiences laugh when he opens his mouth. That's how I look at comedy. I did stand up for like 6+ years, so I have a different perspective on the way people assess funny. It's a much more complex topic, but I've been on shows. I've performed stand-up with Jimmy. I hosted shows where he was the headliner and I was the host, and I did guest spots. And I've seen him make rooms of people go and laugh in big ways. You know, we can argue about whether people find him funny, and plenty of people could say I'm not funny. I'm either annoying or funny. And what the hell am I saying? Oh, I'm just saying, like, Will Ryan, David Feldman, like, yeah, you know, like in any industry, comedians do projects together and work on different things and get funded for different shows, or maybe they're self-starting. That sort of phenomenon is still happening these days. It's obviously evolved into the internet, into podcasts and all kinds of other stuff, but I don't know. I just want to ramble, but
you basically you were the editor and the off camera guy for the JD show, and then like Placone, Ron Placone, who I'm actually been a fan of lately. I'll admit, this might get me into some hot water because I don't know, people might have different opinions of him, but I actually kind of like Ron Placone. I actually listened to his podcast, and recently I listened to his podcast on driving to the library on the city bus.
It's called 1000, I think.
I think it's like 1000. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And Ron's a really good guy. He was sort of remote. I want to say he was in Tennessee or something, but like back in 2016, his contributions were like as like a fan comedian guy who was trying to get into this industry. Like anybody, he's sort of seeking sort of it's not like there's any one path, but you got to take initiative and you got to embarrass yourself and you got to be awkward when you start and you got or the entire time. You know, and it's filled with opportunities to quit. Nobody forces anybody to put a stupid microphone in front of their face, either on stage or, you know, for a podcast or, you know, a show or whatever. And but so Ron was like contributing kind of remotely. So I, you know, but so I didn't really know him in person until he visited once when I was still there, and then he was like interested in moving to LA, I think. And but that guy is a self-starter. He made a movie called Left at Wall. He's just doing a stage play about healthcare, actually, which I think is really cool. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it to a show tomorrow, but yeah, Ron is a good guy. He went through his own experience working for Jimmy Dore, and he was there for 2 or 3 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And
I saw.
So he and I are in a fraternity of sorts that is kind of unique. You know, like every 30 years we'll gather to fight the monster.
Yeah,
every 30 years.
When I saw. I think.
Go ahead. I
was gonna say I saw speaking of, like, I saw like a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, the last time he was on the Vanguard, and he talked about his departure from the Jimmy Dore show. I just say Jimmy Dore. I can't say his name. I can't say Jimmy Dore's name at all. I have so much contempt for him.
Okay.
And you know, for me, it's like I was one of those people on the left, like when Jimmy Dore was like sexually harassing Anna Kasparian back in, like, when it came out in 2021. I was one of the people on the left that sided with TYT because, you know, we're talking like 4 years ago, so obviously my view has changed since then. Oh, here comes the siren coming back. Oh crap, is it Burgess?
It's
better get under the desk.
They picked up a pizza. They're just getting back to the firehouse.
Yeah, Mila. I like, you know, the funny thing is I like showing comments from Mila. You're pretty sure you set Ron straight about Tulsi Gabbard. Cool. I mean, I'm not saying that in a negative way. That's awesome. If you did, thumbs up to you, Mila. I never liked Tulsi Gabbard. I to this day I believe she's a fake.
Future president Tulsi Gabbard.
I don't.
She's in the government now. I think she's a scary person.
But I don't.
She's very dangerous.
I can't stomach that. Yeah, like I was the part of the side that, you know, the whole thing with like the harassment of Anna at the time and how it was revealed and Jimmy and all that stuff. Like I would say that I was shocked, but I wasn't surprised. I was like, that's the kind of person he is in general.
Right.
And I can, you know, as someone who worked for a show, I'm pretty sure you saw a lot of that, a lot of the positive, but also a lot of the negative.
Well, don't take my nodding as like affirming literally like the specifics of what you're suggesting. I'm just kind of listening.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I've been in this world quite a while. For as much of an open book I am, there's definitely stuff that I choose to keep.
Yeah, keep to yourself. Yeah,
I can only do so much. I've already got my beard falling out from what I'm doing. So beefing with Jimmy is probably the last thing I need to do for my health.
Right.
I mean, maybe. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, right now you don't have to beef with him publicly, but like, you know, considering the pivot that he's gone on in the last couple of years, and I should say not in a good way, you know, you may. I mean, who knows? Time will tell.
Yeah, I get it. Trust me.
Like, you know, it's like maybe you could probably if the documentary like goes as far.
Let me put it this way: I want to build a world or a life for myself where I know I keep focusing on my beard, but I want to maybe have my beard grow back from the like stress reduction and health improvement that comes with maybe some paid, like me being like a regular person who's actually doing okay and feeling okay. And publicly getting into a spat with Jimmy and his audience right now would not advance that cause, is what I mean. Perhaps someday. I haven't ruled out the stories I would tell, and also I would tell the whole story. If you can't tell, I it means a lot to me to not just throw eggs. I also want to throw flowers. Not that. Why did I just made that up? That no one's ever. Why did I say? But like, it's not all bad. It's not all so it's more of like something that I might put in a book.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've written a freaking book already with this whole thing. I don't mean that as if I have one fully written. I'm saying like I've done a ton of the script for the movie is probably a book. There's a ton of writing I've done that isn't in the film. I have tons and tons and tons of notes. I have a lot of free writing. I'll get into these brain spaces where I just type, if I can. So depending on where this project, and maybe we could like give it a 10-minute wrap up here, if that's cool with you. Do you mind?
Yeah, no problem.
I do have to get because you could probably keep me for like 5 or 6 hours if you wanted, but finishing the film on YouTube, one hope I sort of have is to maybe do screenings with crowds and like then do Q&As. That'd be kind of cool, and like talk about other people's union stories or their own work experiences, because the market for people who work is a lot bigger than the market for people who give orders. And that's one of the funny things like that I don't think Cenk understands, being an ideologue from the Wharton School of Vampires with Elon Musk and Donald Trump all going to the same college, the same school for business, is like that he's ideologically trapped in capitalist programming. And I the only like redemption arc that's possible out of this, and it would be like it would take 10 years, or what I'm saying, like he's clearly like severely hampered, and it's not like he just has to come out with some fake apology. I don't think he's capable of a sincere apology at this point in this story. I think he should still try if it does reach the point that enough of his audience is demanding one, if they get wind of this project. But what the hell am I going on about? In 10 years, shit. There goes the ADHD. Fuck.
There goes the brain fart.
Yeah.
Or the memory impairment.
Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to throw a pencil into the camera shot and keep missing. What was I saying, John?
Something about like doing
audience.
Doing a screening of
so like as much as I want to move on from the film and I kind of need this to be done, it's truly kind of been agonizing. If you guys think you're tired of hearing about TYT this week, just try editing a documentary about them for 3 years by yourself with no one to talk to. Like, so, but maybe I think this is a fascinating situation overall. The political drama of a progressive, famous talk show host running for Congress in an impromptu congressional race inspired by George Papadopoulos, by the way. That's a weird little detail. Then union busting, and then lying about his workers. Like that itself is its own kind of caper. And then you got like my participation in like trying to, expose the whole thing and tell the truth about it, because I lived the story that he was trying to hide. Maybe there's more beyond just the film. Maybe it gets big enough that someone says, wow, maybe there's a book here. And by the way, I have an excellent title for the book I would use. I'm not going to say it though, because it would I don't want to say it, but I have a title that is just like just nails it. It's called Read This Book, Cenk. No, but a book, perhaps. There's a feature film, perhaps. I know I sound insane. I'm not really, but like, wouldn't that be so much fun for Cenk to just have to watch movies, books, shows? A whole industry grows about educating labor stories, using him as the bad guy in every single. So here's what he did. He hired a bunch of lefties. He gave them a reason to unionize. They unionized, and then he was surprised, freaked out, lied, union busted, covered it up, got called out. Like, you hired aspiring lefty filmmakers, and then you are surprised that one of them is like, well, fuck you, I'm making them a film. And of all the people to mess with, the like hyper verbal video editing comedian who has horrible boundary detection and a completely reckless sense of self-preservation might have been the worst person you could have screwed with. The one who has
Yeah.
the autistic hyper memory of watching your show since 2008. I don't know, and doesn't mind making it like, because this makes me completely unemployable beyond where I already am. So I'm just kind of fantasizing about the successful stages of this. But beyond that, I don't mean that in terms of like big money for me. I don't mean that at all. I just mean there's a justice to this. The success of this of the film in its intention to be an educational resource for other people is the first thing. Well, the first thing is correcting the record and telling the truth. But then the second one is educational resource 10 years from now. But the other one is holding someone powerful accountable and facing a consequence, as Cenk is now doing. And that's justice. We just the truth is justice in this, and that's what this project is.
Yeah,
that's what
and
we're
the
doing.
other, yeah, definitely. And it's like the ironic thing is that Cenk wrote a book called Justice is Coming, and this is
right?
actual justice that is actually going to, because like you wrote, and I mean, his book took 3 years apparently to make, and
Cenk GPT wrote it.
Yeah, his chat GPT did.
I know. It's just boilerplate bullshit that he spews. But like, yeah, his book should have been called like, justice is coming.
Yeah, add a to the.
Shit.
Oh crap! It's coming.
Yeah. Oh no! A really good. That guy's good at video editing. Yeah,
my video editor is coming for me that I never. Oh,
how dare he! But yeah. Anyway, what can I ask this question? Unless you had another.
Shoot, go ahead.
3 hours.
Yeah.
What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? Lavender.
Green. Because my eyes are green. Well, my eyes are the same color as my eyes, and so I figured, why not?
Bad favorite green color. No, I tease. What a weird response to someone's favorite color. It's like a strange thing to be like have an opinion on. No, my question is, and this is a little self-centered, but like, when did you guys get? Because as I was working on this, and I saw the letter hack.
Mm-hmm.
When mods resign. When mods resign. Sorry, I almost said when mods attack. Like it's like a show. That
would have been better though.
Show about bears.
When mods attack.
When you guys are like jumping on deer in the woods.
Revenge.
Yeah. you're like catching eagles. So no, you guys inspired me. You guys gave me a sense of like, remember, I was all alone doing this, man. Just feeling shitty that my poor roommate is like so nice that he's letting me live here and not, like work on this and stuff. Right. Like, so it's been a joyless slog. So it's been a few little moments where it gave me a sense that someday you would see this project. Cause I knew I was going to be coming forward and it's not a competition, but obviously my background, my history, the depth of my, in being much more inside the company than you guys, I was going to probably gather a closer look at it, especially since the video is presented well, right?
Yeah.
At least that was my intention. If you work on a video for 3 years, it better be freaking above average. But so that actually gave me some comfort and some feeling of like interest in it, and especially since the letter hack got you all together on that one. That was such a service to this project.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So my question though is, when I started to come forward, when you saw, I published on February 29th of this year, was there, I mean, what did it just sort of be like, wow, what's this? Or was, how did it seem? I'm not that I'm expecting you to like praise anything, but I'm assuming that you guys were like, hey, there's a dude doing something that we need to look at.
So like I watched Leftist Mafia the night in February when you gave the super chat. And then I immediately, as I do, because then I get curious.
Yeah.
Part of the autism, part of the neurodivergency, I get curious. And also I wanted to point out that Adrian, they were the ones that actually organized the mod walkout. So credit goes to Adrian, 100%. And they also say they were excited for sure. We all were. So I watched on Leftist Mafia. You gave the super chat. I got curious. I went to your YouTube channel, Winners and Losers. Watched the the first chunk of Tell the Truth Cenk, and I was immediately I sat there with my it's off camera, but I sat there with my iPad, literally just watching it from beginning to end, and I was just like, wow, this is really good. Like, this is great. Like, and then you're like, hi, I'm Hank. I worked for TYT and the JD show. I was like, oh, I actually like remembered you because I said you used to be on Happy Half Hour with Brett, and
Yeah.
I
was the
was like,
marijuana massager.
yeah, you were also the
Yeah.
marijuana was also.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching those commercials, and so yeah, I like watched the documentary. Was very much like, this is great, and then I think I watched the Letter Hack interview that night with Adrian, with all the, I think some of the former mods also showed up as well, and you like were like, yeah, I watched the mods resign, and
Yeah.
I literally off camera going at home, like literally my face just dropped because I was like, a former employee of TYT watched our panel show on Letterhack, and it's like, and also you were talking about Bonnie and Sandy, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's like this gentleman here, he knows his stuff. He's got his thinking cap on. He, you know,
Agreed.
he's been in there. And it's like, you've been there. You have a history. And then I watched like the episode of Winners and Losers after the documentary came out, and watched it all the way through, and was just like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna basically just tweet out this. And so I did, and I saw you liked it, and then you gave me the follow on Twitter, which I was like, yeah, this guy's great. So yeah, but the fact that again, like the fact that a former employee of the network watched all of that and praised it. I mean,
yeah,
I was flattered. Number one, we like Adrian said, we were all excited. Yeah.
Can I put a chat in? That's why I am listening.
Yeah.
How do I type it from this?
I think if there's at the bottom, it just says type a message.
I don't see that. It's like a tall scroll. Can I just text you? Is mine like the back room here? I don't know how to do this. How about if I just private chat?
Yeah. Send it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if you can put that on screen, but there's a GIF there that feels like a GIF that people might want to share.
I can actually. Yeah.
I love hearing all that. I mean, I had a feeling that you guys would probably dial in on it, and among the reasons why I made sure that I came across as credible. You know, I can be.
You were definitely credible,
but like the video had to be, because I mean, they would totally sue me if I was wrong.
Yeah.
Or by now, if they could come at me and be like, he's completely off his rocker. What's this guy doing? It's all made up. We can prove it. Why wouldn't they have done that already? You know what I mean? Instead, what we're getting is
it's only been it's like literally how many months now since February? Almost a year, and they still haven't said anything. I mean, that pretty much says everything, maybe almost everything that we need to know.
They don't. I mean, you can't necessarily say their silence proves me right, but their lack of action suggests that they would rather not this be a story.
There's like a whisper. There's like whispers within the office.
Yeah. Well, probably the lawyers are like, "Oh, cool! I get to watch an entertaining guy's podcast and get paid $6,000 an hour or something."
Yeah,
obviously I'm flattering myself.
Yeah.
But throw that GIF up if you can. Can you get it on there? Or share it with the chat. They don't have to see it all right now.
Yeah, I'll just do a thing where I can just copy and paste, and then people can laugh. Have a good laugh, I hope. Okay. I sort of remember watching this show. Yes. What was I was going to say something. There's something I had.
If anybody's still on TYT.com, by the way, go look up the Thanksgiving 2019 special if it's still up. I edited it. I'm very proud of it. I put a ton of work into that. I got to do a little more comedy, kind of creative editing with it. It's a big kind of montagey deal about family and how people there look out for each other. It's just, when I'm like organizing a union to try to get health care, and I'm editing a video about it. But I stayed late. I remember my 40th birthday. It was like I worked at TYT office by myself till like 10:30 p.m. trying to finish that thing. And, I'm proud of that one. I did also something else. I curious people, or you're probably used to seeing the stream, the blue T-shirt that is the Medicare for All, Bernie Sanders heart and hair. That's me. Like I designed that. And so the way that commercial rolls is it's an empty Photoshop, and then and it says the fast forward. That's all me working on Photoshop, screen recording my computer at TYT. It took about 4 hours, maybe. I edited that video. I picked out that song. I made that commercial. It's clearly served some sort of surplus value extraction. It's obviously their one commercial, or not one. That's not fair, but it's not true either. Like, they do have others, but like they play that as kind of a standalone commercial. If you're familiar with the movie too, you might be like, oh yeah, that editing does kind of seem like Hank's editing anyway. And so like I did make that too. That was right around when Bernie had his heart attack in 2019. Yeah. And I was like, oh, Band-Aid on a heart, Bernie's hair. And I very deliberately made sure to draw the glasses, even though I knew that kind of looked wonky in the final, but that would sell it in the speed up. Like I was producing it as well. And what's not kind of interesting isn't the right phrasing, but just keep in mind, the guy who made that commercial was classified in a way that he didn't have health insurance while he made the Medicare for All T-shirt that I'm sure has made TYT a lot of money. Yeah. So like, that's kind of a sad detail. Like, oh yeah, I was kind of the spirit of Bernie was living there, but also I didn't have health insurance. And one of my stretch goals for the film is fundraising it is interview Bernie Sanders. How amazing would it be for this movie to suddenly we see the end? Because it's clearly I'm not doing any on location filming other than like right here. You see those green bits there? That's the door where I filmed the NLRB notice. And I got to do my favorite maneuver here.
So I also wanted to ask a few questions.
This was what was placed up on the door back there.
That's what I was going to ask you. If you still have that notice, because we. Speaking of contracts, I would say that the mods had to have a contract of sorts as well that I think I still have. I want to, and I also want to play
Section 7 of the NLRA.
Yeah.
And sorry, camera. I'm trying. And the Young Turks hosts walked past this thing for 60 days. Into a studio and then did stories about other companies' union issues. In the film, there's a whole array of video, and the dates are all kind of small. I might change that up. I probably won't, but But all those video, that whole array is stories from within the 60-day time period that this was on the wall in that place. And none of the progressive journalists there thought this was worthy of a story, or maybe they did. But they knew there'd be consequences if they told the truth.
They told the truth. I also wanted to, as a wrap up, at least because I had planned to maybe show part of the film, but But however, since we're a wrap up, I decided let's just show the trailer instead.
Oh yeah, I gotta the part where I talk is what's what, but yeah, it's fine. It's a good enough trailer, sort of.
So I actually want to I want to show the trailer, and okay.
Wake up that.
Let me see if I could play it. Okay. You'll have to excuse because Restream's kind of
that's okay.
Sketchy.
Maybe lower the quality if it's probably not even that. It's probably just.
Yeah, it's at 360. So
yeah, that's all right.
We'll just there we go. We'll just do it this way.
And I decided to wake up that union drive, not knowing where it's going to end up, but just being like, I got to do something. It's working for Cenk Uygur, and I'm not getting any health care. I know why we started the union. And other workers had their other reasons. And there's probably some of the reasons that will never see the light of day. Because if he had to explain to his audience, oh, yeah, my workers did have a genuine union here, they would say, well, what were their grievances? Why were they unionizing? And those are questions he does not want to answer. So I'm going to fucking answer him. That's what this whole thing is.
Yeah, the TYT Union Twitter account.
There it is.
Didn't you see what they did to Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks?
I should probably just cut out the part where I'm in it at the beginning. Thanks for playing that.
Yeah, that's like the one. I was like, we definitely have to show. I have to show this.
Sure.
As sort of as a wrap up.
Yeah.
Too, because again, we've 3 hours 15 minutes, and the view count's been kind of fluctuating. But you know what?
What were our numbers? Where were we at? 19,000.
We were at well, for my show, we started at 12, and then we went to 11. Well, actually, we started at 1. Then we went to 5. We actually started at 5. Then we went to 7. Then we went to 10. Then 11. Then 12. Then back to 11. Then back to 12 again. 10 again. And then 9. And then 8. And then we're back to 7. So it's fine. You know, it's like at least I have
That's
like
okay.
the numbers. Even the fact that 12 people watch the show, even as low as a number as it is, still amazing that people actually watch this show. This is like.
Yeah, I did streaming on Twitch a little bit on Suck Professor because we got up to over 7,000 subscribers for a stretch, and if I had 3 people, I'd be like, oh, wow, 3 people, this is crazy. So I get it. It's a grind, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it'll sit there, it'll be out there, and it'll be available, and people that are interested in the story will find this. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I've been streaming for. I mean, it is almost 5 years. Well, 4 years if August 2021. So it'll be 5 years next year. And 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
3.
I know. I'm surprisingly interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry to say that. I'm a solo podcaster. Of course I think that. But like, no, I get it.
I actually get it now why people like myself who are like the YouTube, Twitch, leftist podcast stream people, we do this for a living. You know, I mean, I just do interviews on here, and also like I say, I game. I play the Switch, obviously. Here, I'm a Nintendo guy, so
I
play
the Game Boy.
The Game Boy. Yeah, I remember the Game Boy. Actually, absolutely. Oh, it's in my.
No, I'm doing a joke. I have a flashlight. It's not a Game Boy. I was trying to use Industrial Light and Magic VFX to blow your mind.
Sometimes I don't know if I was making a joke or. I know it's laugh. Like we all have our weird senses of humor, and
we need a leftist Rocket League team. I'm also sort of recruiting for that. I don't know how that's going to look, but I'm a low diamond hoops main. Pretty good. Just changed my controller configuration, and I'm finally adjusted to it. Although now I'm having problems with my USB getting input lag and stuff. Something's wrong with my computer. Another hope for the fundraiser is I can either buy a whole new computer because, it's a 10-year-old machine. Yeah. But Rocket League is so fun. Rocket League is really satisfying for my neurodivergent brain too, in a way, because you get focused. It's exciting and stuff. So anyway, Rocket League is cool. It's free to play too, by the way. I think. Just get it.
I play Earthbound on the Super Nintendo app on the Switch. I play a lot of
wow.
I'm a big Mario, Donkey Kong, Sonic, for Hedgehog for what it's worth.
Sure.
But also I'm they have a lot of classic games on the apps on the Switch. Okay. On the Game Boy app, speaking of, they have the original Donkey Kong. So
nice. That's cool. I got Valheim. I'm doing Valheim games, not streaming, but like let's play sort of playthroughs on Suck Professor right now. So I've been finally getting back to doing that.
Look forward to watching Suck Professor because again, as a gamer, I'm like, I love this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I did a full Witcher 3 playthrough on Death March quality level. I didn't even realize I was on the hardest difficulty. Good night, Milas. Now we're just chatting.
Mila, thanks for.
There's a Rocket League. Okay, that's cool. There's a whole bunch of video game stuff on Suck Professor. And then someone found me on Twitter and was like, I watched your entire Witcher 3 play. It's like 190 or something, 150 episodes, and I was like, thanks, man. This is cool. I wish I just kept at it. I probably would have made it work over the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could keep going. I'm just rambling now, but thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah,
it's been great.
For sure. This was totally awesome. Like I said, this is another saga, another weird saga in the TYT leftist space. And I guess for it to end it, just go ahead and do the plug.
All right. The John Ross Show on
no,
Twitch
not my
and
plug.
All right. Hank Thompson, all one word, .bluesky.social or something like that. I am on Twitter because I'm just going to need to keep using it because it's for plugging and promoting the movie. But I honestly,
that's what I use it for.
I tweet, So at some point I'm going to get off there. I have no faith or trust that any of the information there is secret or secure. That's true for almost literally everywhere, but especially Elon Musk's thing. And it's ugly. I hate being on there. But I'm still using it a lot. It's unfortunately I need it for now. That's about it. Winners and losers on YouTube. It's available on the apps as well. And so, find that stuff. Patreon.com/winners and losers. I also have a support links in the descriptions of all the videos for PayPal or for Ko-Fi donations. I worked on this film for 3 years. If you've ever paid $15 for a movie that we were bored by, maybe consider throwing me a few bucks for a movie that you were entertained by, I'm unemployable for multiple reasons. So would love some support and some help, and just keep paying attention and share it where it makes sense to share, in chats and stuff. And that's about it. I mean, you guys all know what to do. Click the buttons.
You're on
keep it real
as well. Bald on the inside.
baldontheinside.substack.com. I think there's 11 people, or at least there's 11 notifications that I have to click. I get weird with reading comments because I start to get I feel vulnerable and nervous. So I have to be in the right headspace.
That's me.
But yeah, there we are.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, bitch. That in the chat. So yeah, this was actually the end of the year interview. So I have a few things lined up for 2025. With that,
Merry Christmas.
First of all, happy holiday, happy Christmas.
No, it's holidays. Christmas. What if I was one of those guys? No, it's Christmas.
I would cringe.
Can you imagine me caring about this?
I don't care. I say happy Christmas. I mean, for me, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing.
America used to be a real country. It's Christmas. It's just one of the more earlier successful marketing campaigns. I fucking hate Christmas. I would rather. I like giving gifts. I do woodworking and I build gifts for people. That's the stuff I like to give out for free. I mean, the idea of having to buy somebody something in order to it's not real. Just I don't know. I'm not saying people shouldn't give gifts, but it's clearly cultural engineering in order to get you to do transactional, to insert profit into love, which I think is rotten and ugly and stupid. So that's my summary of my podcast, my politics.
So
good night, everybody in the chat. Thanks for watching. I'm reading them too. See you all.
Actually, I'm going to, for the Twitch people, I'm trying to figure out who to raid.
Okay.
And there's just
Matt
there
Bender.
Doesn't seem to be Matt Bender's not live, and these are people that I'm following, but I think because I stream so late at night, a lot of the people that you'd want to raid are either they're not. What am I thinking?
TYT, are they up?
No, they're
Oh,
they're not up. I will
Adrian.
ask Adrian Vixen who do they think I should rate? Any suggestions they could give me? Because there is. Let me see.
They've got it.
There's Igloo BC. Okay, I will do that. If
am I staying on, or is it hanging me up too? I don't care either way. I'm just curious.
Well, it's probably gonna. Well, yeah. I mean, like when I end the stream and hit the
okay.
Well, actually, I should plug.
I'll survive either way.
I should also plug. Should also do the plug.
Hasanabi is live. I got an email at 12:41. Oh, that's PM. That's this afternoon. That's the last email.
I'm gonna raid. I'll just raid Carla's Wild Ride. Is also a member of a with myself and Adrian, a group called Transcend TTV. That actually, another backstory was formed in the wake of, or further for me, like a wake in the mods resigning. So with that, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, because I don't think Igloo, Adrian, I don't see Igloo in the raid. At least, let me try again. Let me see.
Take your time.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't see them.
Look at his Christmas tree back there. Guy's got a cute little tree. He gets to have the spirit of Saint Nick around him at all hours.
Yeah, well, the lights aren't on, because if I turn them on during the stream, the Christmas lights would reflect and would
I remember
in the microphone. So I'm kind of just gonna pick a random person I'm following and just say I'm gonna raid Carla's Wild Ride. Am I following? I don't think so. Let me see if I'm following them. I'll see if I am. If they're live. Are they live, Adrian? Okay. They say that would be why. I don't know. I'm new. I started rating people a while back, and because I'm trying to like do this seriously, and so it's just like because like I used to do.
I think you should torture yourself more. I think you should make it harder. I think you should just like put on a hair shirt.
I need
take
to
it off. Just whip your back
to sit down and like
kneel for 17 hours. I think you should make it worse.
I'm gonna hit the follow.
I hang out with. I mean, I haven't actually. I don't have any friends. I mean, I do have some, but like I'm used to hanging out with stand-up comedians. By the way, so I can be. That's my. If I treat you like a stand-up comedian, it's because I like you. But sometimes it means I'm being a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, I'm following them now, so.
All right.
The easiest way for me is just to go into the Twitch, and I think I'm gonna do it I'm gonna do it the way Vidingale showed me. Let's see if I can do it this
paper
way.
Letters. Send them a.
Yeah. Well, let's see. _raid at. Okay. Hopefully this goes through. All right. So.
All right.
We're done. Let me actually just.
Thanks.
Let me. Let's see if this works. First, let me just do the whole like outro thing.
Yeah. Kitty cat.
And the cat.
She's going home. If only I talked to my fucking neighbor 2 years ago, would have saved myself a lot of aggravation. But yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that girl.
With that, we're done. So
all right.
Have a happy Christmas, everyone. Thanks for tuning in and for the chat. You know who you are. Thanks for, and everybody's a mod now. So now I have mods. And Hank is showing me pictures of his soon-to-be former cat, who is now going to be reunited with their owner. I say they because I don't know the gender of the cat, out of respect,
Sure.
with their owner. And I'm going to hit the this button.